Hello, hello, guys. I'm just gonna wait for more people to show up. Two people, awesome. Hello, Colonel Quail. Three people. Now it's getting close to a party. Four people. Now we're getting there. We're getting close. Getting close to a party. Six people. Awesome. So, yep, doing things a little bit early today. That way we have enough time for people on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean to get on. Hello, Mediterranean Christian culture. What's your opinion of Big Pharma? Honestly, I haven't really studied much into it to make like a serious opinion. But I mean, I've heard some weird things happening in the pharmaceutical industry, like using aborted fetuses and all that. But I've also heard a lot of good things. So, anything new on the harlot? No. Any opinions on Chris Chan? Who's Chris Chan? Is that like Pastor Chan? Who's Chris Chan? Chris Chan. I don't know who this is. Is this like I looked into it. It looks like this was a murderer or something? Incest charge. Oh, that's bizarre. Hello, Mr. Goods. I just Googled. It's too late, Cove Tail. I just Googled them. Looks like this is a complete freak of nature. Oh, it's a cross-dresser. Okay. Is my voice better without this thing, or is it better with the filter? Which one? Which one is it? Yeah, it's just a crazy cross-dresser. Okay. How do you justify? Oh, do you base it off the Old Testament or New Testament? Both. The cats are fine. I actually have one right next to me. Cats are good. They play outside in the fields. Sister Tenacious, where can we send you some happy birthday love? I don't have PayPal. I have Stripe. Go on shootbot.com and there is a button for that if you would like to. I really appreciate that. Cove Tail, how was your day? Pretty boring. Nothing really interesting. Read through the news a little bit. Found this depressing article about how in America tens of thousands of people every single day. No, sorry, tens of thousands of people every single year die in their homes and are found later on. Their bodies are found later on. And so they have these special funerals for people like that because they have no they have no friends or social circles or family to know that they have died. So they just die in their homes of natural causes. Any chance you can elaborate, Theo? How do you reconcile both counter Christian priests who disregard those Old Testament violent verses? Um, so this is kind of a deep subject, but I can get into this. I'm going to be here for the next several hours, so I don't mind answering your guys' questions at all. I do this every Friday, so every Friday I'm going to try. Sometime, there's going to be Fridays where I'm not going to be able to do this, but for the most part, every Friday I'm going to be dedicating several hours of the day to answer all of your guys' questions and just talk to you guys about pretty much whatever you want within reason, within reason, and just have a good time talking. So, how do we reconcile? It's a good question. How do we reconcile the Old Testament and the New Testament? The Old Testament is very violent. New Testament seems to be very peaceful. I think that the biggest misconception is that the Old Testament the biggest misconception entails this sort of black and white perspective on the Old and New Testaments. Old Testament is perceived as very like violent. Old Testament is warlike. There's tons of war and there's battles and all those things. New Testament is very peaceful. For one, in the era of the New Testament, there was no Christian kingdom. So in Islam, you could have a concept of jihad or holy war. They are Muslims who say that this is a wrong interpretation, that we have to wait for some kind of Islamic government to be established before enacting any sort of militancy. But they are Muslims, many Muslims who think that nope, you don't need that. We could do terrorism and all these things. Um, Now, in the Christian world, there is no concept of vigilantism. You can't just, oh, yes, we're going to be crusaders in a government that's secular. That doesn't really exist. Um, the in the era of the New Testament, there was no Christian government. There was no Christian political system that was established as a government. Just like in the if you read the Old Testament, there are numerous moments or there are numerous times when the Hebrews are not living in a Jewish society. They're living in Babylon, they're living in the Persian Empire, and they're not doing anything either. They're following God's law, they're praying, they are resisting unjust edicts, but they're not like leading wars or anything like that. Um, so you have to be within reason, you have to be within law. The idea of vigilantism is not a Christian teaching. When the Christians established a government through Constantine, Christians began to lead wars, because when you run a country, no matter what your religion is, you have to be ready to defend the country and you have to be ready to have wars and to lead wars if it's necessary. um Now, that's the secular explanation um, for your question. Now, how do you reconcile the Old and New Testament? In the Old Testament, there was a concept of love and peace and all of these things. There's a verse in the Old Testament: a time for love, a time for peace, a time for war. So there is a time for those things. Also, Jesus in the New Testament, he says, what is the greatest law? To love God and to love your neighbor. To love your neighbor as yourself, to love God with all of your heart, your soul, and your might. Um, so in the Old Testament, there's a story of, and by the way, when Jesus says this, he's actually quoting from the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, there's a story of a king. I don't remember his name, but he was a king who purged Israel of all wickedness, idolatry, paganism, things like that. And in the end of the chapter that's describing this event, it says, "And this king loved God with all of his mind, his soul, his heart, his might, all those things." So Jesus is actually referencing this line. So part of this line in loving God with all your might is fighting against evil, doing all of these things. Again, within certain context, depending on the context, determines how this line is applied. Um, and then you also have the fact that in the New Testament, it was a King Jehu. Yes, you're correct. Um, Also in the New Testament, we have for example, Saint Paul. He talks about how uh, vengeance is the Lord's, and this is a verse that a lot of Christians like to quote when they're trying to justify some kind of pacifism. They're like, "Oh, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." And that's in Romans 12. But then you go to Romans chapter 13, and it says right there that the government, the state, is the enactor, is the unleash, is the one who holds the sword of God, and the state unleashes the vengeance of God. He is there to unleash the vengeance of God, to unleash vengeance. Well, in the prior chapter, it says vengeance belongs to God, but then in the next chapter, it says that the government can enact vengeance. So yes, vengeance does belong to God, but that does not mean that human beings can be participants in that vengeance. How is one to be a participant in the context of government, in the context of state? So if you have a Christian state, why couldn't this Christian state be an actor of God's vengeance? Ooh, yeah. Your question has been answered. I think that suffices. Yeah. I think that right there is a good summation to answer your question. Hello, Robbie, Ave. What happens in Japan? Why is Argentina and Chile mostly poor despite being majority white Latin? Well, I wouldn't say Argentina is like that poor and shit in comparison to Brazil. Okay, so this is a good question. So for some of you guys, it's evening, so I'm gonna enjoy this Friday evening with this American beer, Coors. This is probably the best beer in the United States. So if you ever come to America, Coors is the best tasting beer. So years ago, I met this missionary who was a missionary to Brazil. Haram, I'm committing haram. A little bit of haram won't hurt. I've actually never tried Sam. I've tried a lot of American beers, but I think Coors so far is my favorite one. I'll have to try Sam Adams eventually. But so I remember I met this lady. She was from Wales, and she was a missionary to Brazil. And she lived in Brazil for about a year or so, and she hated it. She hated Brazil. She said Brazil is an absolute hellhole. It sucks. And she told me how hellish Brazil is. She said that in Brazil, people are so poor that you can't walk the streets without kids begging you for money. You try to walk into a restaurant and you're immediately ambushed by a mob of children, teenagers who are begging you for money. She says she one time she saw in front of the restaurant a do you know how when there's a murder in the crime scene, they'll make a silhouette of the body with tape. She saw one of those in front of the restaurant, and she asked somebody there what happened in front of the restaurant, who died, and the person explained to her that these kids would keep begging the customers as the customers were trying to enter the restaurant. And the restaurant owner said that these kids are going to ruin my business. So he actually paid somebody to shoot one of the kids and to scare the rest of them off. And that's what happened. And one time she felt sorry for these kids, so she decided to give one of the children like some money. And literally, like upon taking the money from this woman, a mob of children began to beat this boy trying to steal his money, and she had to grab this boy and run away from him and protect him from this mob of impoverished kids. She said everything is filthy in Brazil. There's tons of crime. The murder rate in Brazil is ridiculously high. Like it's probably higher than South Africa. I remember I read the murder rate in Brazil is about like 200 and something per 100,000 people. It's humongous. It makes America look good. It's huge. Okay, Somalia is actually safer than Brazil. And Brazil sucks. Okay, so Brazil sucks. Maybe I should do a video called Brazil Sucks, just like I did India. And so she said we would, during the weekend sometimes, she said we would drive across the border into Argentina or to Uruguay. And she said, I loved Argentina. I loved Uruguay. Why? Because the streets were clean and they were safe. So Argentina is very white. It's one of the whitest countries in South America. Chile is also very white, but these countries are actually pretty safe in comparison to Brazil. I don't know what their GDPs are. Let me look them up real quick. Argentina. What's the GDP of Argentina? 445.4 billion is their GDP. Brazil has over $1 trillion USD. So Brazil actually has a higher GDP than Argentina. But if you want to, here's the thing about Brazil. Okay. Brazil, while it has a very high crime rate, that crime, from what I have heard, is concentrated within certain areas, as is the case in most countries. Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, these countries have very high murder rates. But in the south of Brazil, it's actually safer, from what I've heard. And the south of Brazil, from what I have read, is dominated mainly by ethnic Germans. And there are three states in southern Brazil that are inhabited mainly by ethnic Germans. And these three states have the biggest economies in all of Brazil. So maybe if you were to remove these three states, maybe Brazil's GDP would go lower. But now these three states, there's actually a very big secessionist movement in these three states. They want to make their own country. So in Chile, what's the GDP? Now the GDP may be lower in Argentina, but Argentinians aren't as violent as Brazilians. Chile GDP is half of that of Argentina, 282.3 billion. But still, they may not have the biggest economy, but they are peaceful, more and more peaceful. So Brazil has a bigger economy, but there's more violence in Brazil. Just because a country is poor doesn't mean that it's more dangerous. Not necessarily. Um, America has a very high GDP, it's the highest GDP in the world, but yet America has a decently high murder rate, decently high crime rate. We have the highest, uh, probably have the highest level of violence than any other country in the first world. Um, we have the highest concentration of school shootings, and most of these mass shootings are done by white people. So, yeah, it's insane. They are countries that are much poorer than other countries, but they're safer. Like for example, the GDP of Norway. What's the GDP of Norway? Norway is one of the safest countries in the world. Let's see. The GDP of Norway is around the same as Argentina, over 400 billion. 400 billion. But yeah, Norway's murder rate is very, very low. The murder rate in Israel is probably higher than that of the West Bank, but yet the West Bank is much poorer than Israel. So let's see. Yeah, Israel's GDP is close to 400 billion. Um, let's see. Do they have a West Bank GDP? So the GDP of the West Bank is over 16 billion. Hey, probably doing better than probably more efficient than India. Because how many people live in the West Bank? Like, how many people live in? Let's see. Hold on. What's the population of Palestine? 4 million with a population of 4 million people. They got a GDP of 16 billion. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see. Denmark. What's the GDP of Denmark? Denmark's GDP is 350 billion USD. Not bad for a small country. Population of Denmark 5 million. Holy moly. 5 million people, and they're making 350 billion. Dude, they're kicking India's ass. India's got a billion people, and the best they can do is 2 trillion. Mexico has only 100 and Mexico's got like 130 million people, and Mexico's got over 1 trillion in GDP. They got over half of what India makes in GDP, and they only got 130 something million people, and India's got a billion people. It's like India should be ashamed of itself. Truly, India sucks. India sucks. Hopefully, we'll get some prank calls, and we can make fun of them and tell them how much India sucks. Argentina used to be richer than North America in the 1900s. They said as rich as in Argentina. Interesting. I didn't know that. Do you believe in the billion soul harvest in Bible will happen after? Dude, I haven't. Okay, hold on. Let me read this question. Do you believe in the billion soul harvest in Bible will happen after COVID to bring the end times? Joshua George, let me ask you a question. First thing, I'm going to answer your question. My answer to your question is I have no idea. Now, let me ask you a question, Joshua. How would anybody be able to answer this question? Tijuana, Mexico is the same. Some of those poor earn more than an actual worker. Yeah, successful war, but it's achieved its goals by doing horrendous things. Yeah, like Japan invading China and killing millions of people. What do you think of Brazilian President Bolsonaro and his stance on COVID? I think Bolsonaro is kind of he's like a Brazilian Trump. He's a populist. I know that he has talked, or he or his son has talked about why poor people need to stop having kids. Other than that, I know that he was very vocal against the LGBT years ago. I knew about Bolsonaro many years ago, but only for one thing, and that was his stance against the LGBT, which I greatly admire. So that I do like about him. But other than that, I don't know much about him. I know that he won on a tough on crime stance, but I'm not sure how successful that has been. I think he's wrong on COVID. I mean, he's gotten COVID several times. Zakhar Midichov. Chile is 250 billion in 2020 so far. Yeah. Yeah, it's about half of that of Argentina. Are you saying that there is a connection between the white race majority status and crime rate? Oh man. Yes, areas. Oh my god. Okay. This is an Ask Me Anything video, so let's do this, guys. We're about to take a hot take on this one. So, when I when you look at life, okay, I remember I was born in a city called Oakland, California. That's where I was born. Oakland, California, when we were living there, was inhabited mainly by ethnic Poles because many Polish people immigrated in Alameda. They came to that area, Alameda County, and so there were many ethnic Poles living there at one point in time. So when I was living there, when my family was living there were mainly ethnic Poles that were living there, and there were also a good number of Asians that were living there as well. There was pretty much no crime. Nothing. No crime. Something happened in the 90s when they began to make, I think it was like affordable housing or something, and a lot of black people moved into Alameda, they moved into Oakland. The Polish people left, Asians, a lot of them left, and the place became one of the most violent cities in America. Okay, and to this day, Oakland is one of the most violent cities in America. The most violent region of the United States is Washington, D.C., the capital city, the capital of America is the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. I went to Washington, D.C. years ago in 2013. I was walking down the street in the busy downtown area in Washington, and you could see like the big, obelisk and all that. You could see all these uh capital you can see all this capital architecture everywhere. It's very nice actually. But there were very few non-melanated people there. Okay. I was one of the few non-melanated people walking down the street. Pretty much everyone around me was African American. The murder rate in Washington, D.C. is the highest murder rate in America, with a murder rate of around 9 people per 100,000. In this case, the murder rate in Washington, D.C. is the same as that of Mexico. And it's in this little tiny area called Washington, D.C., which is not that big at all. And there's something to be said about that. I'm tired. Okay. We can liberal. Okay, God have mercy. You guys are making me take a really hot take here. Okay, we're getting into some serious controversy. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you're violent. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you get into criminality. Perfect example. The West Bank, where my father comes from, has one of the lowest murder rates in the world. Yes, Palestinians will participate in terrorism. They will participate in things like suicide bombing. But in this context, it's kind of like the IRA in Northern Ireland. If you ever go to Northern Ireland, is there like a super high murder rate in Northern? I doubt it. Okay, what's the murder rate in Northern Ireland? But yeah, there have been Northern Irish people who participated in terrorism. It's the same thing in the West Bank. West Bankians, as I like to call them, West Bankians will participate in political violence, ideological violence. They go, okay, let's go and attack some IDF soldiers or something like that. But do you have Palestinians who like decide one day, oh, I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to go shoot up a mall, or I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to go rob this old woman down the road. I'm going to go mug, or I'm going to just punch some elderly man for no reason. And that happens in America. I'm going to go punch some elderly man for no reason, play a little knockout game. That doesn't exist in the West Bank. The murder rate of the West Bank is 0.5 per 100,000. So West Bankian people, not violent. Even when they immigrate to the United States, they live in Michigan. Many of them move to Michigan or they move to California. They have jobs. They prosper a lot in the United States. They're financially very successful people. Even though they come from an area that's considered poor in international standards, when they come to America, many of them thrive. Now, African immigrants, people who come from Nigeria, they also tend to thrive when they come to the US. They come to the US, they thrive, they make money, and they are some of the highest earners amongst all immigrants living in the US. Nigerians, these are Africans, they're black folk. But the type of Nigerians that we're getting in America are the people who are educated and they went to school. This is most of the cases. They're educated, they went to school, they got degrees, they're getting jobs in like tech. A lot of them are moving to Austin, Texas, where they're getting job in tech, et cetera, et cetera. And these people are not violent. They're not like robbing people or anything like that. So just because you're black doesn't mean you're going to get into criminality either. So we have to be very, very balanced. Okay. We can't just be like, oh, yes, high murder rate in black neighborhood. Therefore, black people, they all have like this proclivity to violence. That we can't, well, because once you get into that level, then you're just getting into racism. But before I get into that, so there are people who are African American who are very nice people, very, very good people, very saintly people, religious, spiritual people, and I've met black people who are great people. But what I have noticed amongst a lot of African Americans is that they glorify violence. They glorify it, and in Africa, you also have this culture. Even though there are many Africans who aren't like this, there are many Africans who are good people. There are many Africans who are not good people, and they're violent. And I saw a video yesterday from somewhere in Africa of a guy making a stew, and the camera sort of leans forward, and you see inside the pot literally a decapitated human head and two severed arms with the hands sticking out. And these Africans are laughing like nothing is happening. Now, in all fairness, things like this have been done in Europe, France, the French Revolution. There was cannibalism. There were stories of people drinking human blood out of chalices, and even in Prussia, cannibalism was actually commonly done until, what was it, the 16th century, 15th century, or something like that, because of the paganism that was there. So in Europe, there was cannibalism, there was gladiatorial matches, there was all sorts of savagery. But at the same time, in Europe, you had the Roman Empire. And as savage as the Roman Empire was, you had scam callers. I'm on a roll here. As savage as the Roman Empire was, you had also civilization, right? You had the concept of a republic, concept of a government, things like that. So there is something unique about the European people, not all European peoples, because the Germanic people and the Gauls, they were savages before Christianity. And they were the Germans still had savagery even in the 20th century. We saw it with the Nazis. Um, but even before Christianity came to Europe, there was a strong element of civilization and civility. And I think that is why, and this is going to sound crazy, but this is why God chose the Romans to be the bearers of Christendom. There was something about those people that made them civilized. Even when they were pagans, they had a kernel of civility in them, making Christianity the perfect religion for them to propagate, to make thrive, and to spread, actually, because the Roman Empire was responsible for spreading Christianity throughout the rest of Europe. Um, for for some reason, Africans in America, African Americans, they cause the most crime. Now, there is a spiritual component to this, I believe, and that is that in the Bible it says that Ham shall serve his brothers, Japheth and Shem. Shem being the patriarch of the Semitic peoples, Middle Eastern peoples, Japheth being the patriarch for the European peoples, Indo-European peoples. And we have forsaken that. We think, okay, black man, you can do everything on your own, and that's it. Here you go. And you end up having chaos, just like when the white man left Africa, Africa became shit. So, but then when you read about Africans living under Europeans, it was much better under the British, under the French, etc. So I think that Africa could be good if it was under white rulership. And I think that there needs to be more of a culture of understanding in the United States where African Americans can understand that they need to be guided by white people, and white people can understand that they need to see the black man as his brother, and you need to, as an older brother, you need to guide him. So I think that that white people need to sort of be like a father figure to them and help them, or else you really can't reconcile the African American community. Like for example, I saw a documentary last night about grocery stores, and I honestly didn't really know this until yesterday, actually, that grocery stores don't, a lot of them don't open up in black neighborhoods. Because my whole life I've been used to seeing Albertsons, Lucky's, a Safeway, Costco, Best Buy. My whole life I've seen these stores around me, and I thought that African Americans in their neighborhoods, they also have the same things, but there's actually a huge absence in grocery stores within African American neighborhoods. And some people say that this is racism, but when you actually look into it, the real reason as to why major grocery stores or any grocery stores don't open in African American neighborhoods is because there's a lot of stealing that happens, shoplifting and robberies and crime. And so grocery store owners, people who want to invest money in a grocery store, they don't get involved in African American neighborhoods. So I think that if the African American neighborhoods can change their society, then they can make themselves better, and they can, and because when they go out and they rob a store, they're actually robbing from their own people. They're preventing investment in their neighborhoods. Um, but I think that if there was, for example, the way that the Spaniards were able to reform the indigenous people of Mexico, I think that something like that should happen within the United States. There needs to be some sort of program of reform where the government enters these neighborhoods and brings down the law, like hardcore brings down the law, and then we put in special laws that prevent the culture of crime, the and laws that really abolish the culture of crime. So any sort of culture, whether it be in music, whether it be in art, um, that needs to be gotten rid of. I remember in Washington D.C., I remember seeing this horrible wall art where they show like Biggie Smalls, the rapper. They need to get rid of all that stuff. That needs to go, and they need to enforce more of a culture of civility in these areas. And but until that happens, I think that it's literally impossible to just put that burden on the black man. I think it's impossible because nothing will happen. It's like leaving Africa and saying, "Okay, Africa, fix your own problems up." It's not going to happen. So, do I believe that there is? Because you said here, are you saying that there is a connection between the white race and majority status? So, to answer your question, yes, I do. I do believe there is a connection because I think you would have to be a completely brain fried liberal to not believe that, or you have to lie to yourself. Because when like, for example, if you're looking for a house, right, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a house in the United States. Real estate agent comes over, drives you around the neighborhood, and the real estate agent is not going to just drive you into some shitty neighborhood. He's going to take you to a good neighbor. That's if you have decent money. If you have good money, he's going to take you to a nice neighborhood. And the real estate agent is going to tell you, oh, this is a very nice neighborhood, very safe, very clean. What does that mean? It's full of white people. You'll get some Asians here and there. You may get some Indians, some Middle Eastern folks, but it's full of white folks. And the crime rate is very low. Like in the neighborhood I live in, it's mainly white. We got some Middle Eastern people, got some Indians, got some Asians, but for the most part, a bunch of white people. Crime, very, very low. But when you go into an area that's very black, mainly black, the chances of crime going up is extremely high. It's almost 100%. But yet again, I remember years ago going to Atlanta, Georgia, and going into a McDonald's at 11 o'clock at night, and everybody there was black, and nothing happened to me. So we have to be very careful when we're talking. This is why I don't like talking so much about these issues, because I truly believe most people can't handle it. Most people cannot handle this type of discussion on both sides, left and right. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if I say the things that I'm saying right now, and righty and right wingers are listening to me, they're automatically going to start talking about how well, black people are this and it's biological and they're basically like animals and yada yada yada, and they start getting into eugenics. If liberals hear me, I am automatically a fascist Nazi, and you're a Nazi, and you're Nazi. And it's like no one can see nuances, and no one can see different situations for what they are. They are, we can't, because once you start making everything black and white, then what you end up with is like a Sabra and Shatila type situation where, well, you get into this let's kill them all type of mentality, or you get into, well, they're all this way type of mentality, or you start getting into this mentality. If you're a liberal, you get into this mentality of, well, if you say anything that questions the status quo, or if you say anything where you're just making practical observations like, well, why are black neighborhoods more violent, why are this, then you're a racist. And it's like we're never going to get anywhere if we get into these, if we get into either one of these mindsets. But I think it's completely naive and silly to not see the truth. It's like, well, if I go to a Middle Eastern country, I mean, the chances of someone getting murdered is very, very small. If I go to Europe, the chances of anything bad happening to you is very small. If I go to China, the chances of anything really bad happening to you is also very small. But once you go to Africa, South Africa especially, that's when things get very dangerous. So I think it's silly to not see the reality. Yes, when areas are mainly white, they tend to be safe. When areas are mainly black, they tend to be violent. This is a fact. Now, lefties get into this argumentation where they say, well, that's because of poverty. But they are countries that are poor but aren't violent. And I don't think just because you're poor that means you're automatically going to like start robbing people. I think that's just absolutely stupid. There is a spiritual dynamic involved here, and I think that there is a sin dynamic. Sin is in the flesh, so the sin is in the flesh, and we're all born with, I think, certain sinful proclivities. Not all the time. There are certain sins that are just like way out there that are very sick and evil that I don't think can be attributed to genetics. But I think there are, like, for example, certain I think there are certain temperaments. I think some people are born with higher tempers than other people. I think some people are born calmer than other people. I think some people are born more violent than other people. I really believe that. Like some people, like if you have a guy who has a huge temper, usually the kids come out temperamentally, and that also has to do with the upbringing as well. But I think a lot of that has to do with the temperament, which is genetic. It's inherited. So it's a mixture of different factors. It's a mixture of different factors. It's inheritance, it's your upbringing, it's the culture, but at the same time, there's a spiritual factor also involved. And I think that if the human race could see itself as a whole family, I think we would be better off because we wouldn't have this mentality of, well, that's just how black people are, so to hell with them. We would have a mentality of, well, black people need guidance. And I think that it's the white man's burden to do that, to guide them. There was a saying back in the day, the white man's burden, and that basically it denoted this calling that the British Empire had of helping the other people become civilized. And I think that is a noble calling. So yeah, this is a very controversial topic. I don't mind talking about it because I'm not going to go to either extreme, but I'm going to take truth and make my observation. And yeah, I think I'm just going to go with that. Japan is not majority white, and it is yeah. Again, I'm not saying white automatically means safe, and non-white automatically means not safe. Like Middle Eastern people aren't white. I mean, they're Caucasian, but they're not European. But Middle Eastern people aren't really that violent either. Yeah, GOP does not measure moral compass. Agreed. Let's see here. So yeah, that's my take on race. If you want to know more, I have written an article on this. If you go on shootbot.com and type in, if somebody wants to read it, let me know. I'll put a link in the description. But if you go on shootbot.com and type in race and like Shem, SHEM, search Shem and race, you should be able to get it. Hello, Kasha. Kasha, I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Let's see here. Romania has a very low crime. Yes, it does. All of Europe pretty much has a low crime rate. France has a pretty low murder rate. Norway, Britain probably has the highest crime rate in Europe. Yeah. So Russia and Ukraine do have higher murder rates. So yes, again, just because there's not a lot of black people doesn't mean it's going to be safe. Like Mexico doesn't have a lot of black people. Mexico is also dangerous as well. So again, we cannot. That's why I'm saying we cannot be like black and white on this issue. We have to look at nuances and look at differences and look at different situations. And before enacting judgment, making a good observation of something before coming to like an extreme conclusion. Here's a story that I'll tell you guys about Ukrainians, and I've never discussed this in public, but at one time I got beaten up by a Ukrainian years ago. I was attacked by a Ukrainian. He was I had no idea who this guy was. We went to the same school together. There was a Muslim student named Daoud. I think Daoud was North African, or he looked kind of European, so maybe he was Chechen or something, Bosnian, but he was Muslim. And Daoud told this Ukrainian guy that I was insulting his family. Now, this Daoud guy was Muslim, and he was extremely malicious towards me, like crazy. He hated me for. I think because I think it was because he knew that I was Middle Eastern. Because Muslim people have this amazing ability. I don't know how they do it sometimes, but Muslim people have this amazing ability of being able to know when someone is Middle Eastern. Even if they're not from the Middle East, let's say if they're Muslim from the Caucasus or something, they're Bosnian or something like that. Like they can spot a Middle Easterner. It's insane. And I think because he knew that I was I'm pretty sure he knew that I was Christian because I was very vocal about my faith. He wanted to do something against me. So he went to this Ukrainian guy. This Ukrainian guy was his father was an immigrant from Ukraine, and I'm pretty sure he was also born in Ukraine as well. So he was an immigrant from Ukraine, and he told this Ukrainian guy, Ted is attacking your family. He's like totally. He's calling your mother a prostitute. He's insulting your mother. I had literally zero idea who this guy was. Never talked to him. This Ukrainian guy walks up to me and he says you're attacking my family, and I was like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, you're attacking my family. Before I know it, his hands are up like he wants to fight me. So I put my hands up naturally, and this dude beats the shit out of me and grabs me and tosses me into some bushes. And he was older than me and much more aggressive than I was. And that was the very first time in my life that I ever received a beating. That was the first beating I ever received, and it was extremely traumatic experience for me. Actually, for like weeks, I was just completely messed up. Not like I'm gonna kill myself or anything, but I was just scarred by it. Actually, and to this day, I remember it. I never forget it. Actually, but it was a horrible experience. But um this is why I don't like saying, "Oh, black people are violent, white people are not." Like there are white people who are absolute monsters. This is why we cannot be black and white on the issue. We cannot be racist. We cannot turn towards racism or fascism. But I mean, I still admire many things about Ukrainian culture. I've spoken to people who are Ukrainian who are very nice people. I've spoken to Russians who are very nice people. Um, just because I had this one bad experience with the Ukrainian doesn't mean I'm going to like say all Ukrainians are this way. I think it's ridiculous, and I mean, believe it or not, years later, this Ukrainian approached me and actually apologized to me. Um, we didn't become friends after that, but he at least apologized to me, and I think that the real evil person in that situation was the Muslim kid, because the Ukrainian guy was like, he came from a culture where if you insult somebody's mother, there's a fight. Like that's the culture that he came from. And this Muslim guy totally exploited that to have me violently assaulted. That's what it was. Like that's what he wanted. And he instigated that. Instead of like coming to me and confronting me like a man with some integrity, he didn't want to do that. He got the most aggressive dude that he could find and said, "Oh, Ted did this." And that ended up with me being thrown into some bushes. So yeah, Japan also has the highest suicide rate in the world. So not a high murder rate in the conventional sense, but high murder rate in the sense that they murder themselves. Finland has the best school system, etc. Yeah. Sweden used to be the 10th biggest economy during the 60s. I wonder what happened that changed that. Pastor Steven Anderson said drinking alcohol is a sin. Well, I don't really care what Steven Anderson says. China aren't too, dude. Appearance is everything there. Singapore, yeah. China, I don't know. I've heard it's pretty safe. Like everyone that I've met that has visited China tells me that China's a pretty cool place. India is trying to do whatever. India sucks. I don't give a shit about India's history. They're like, oh, we had the Taj Mahal or what. I don't give a damn. India was invaded by basically Aryan people from Siberia and Iran and all that. And those dudes were probably badasses, but India today just freaking sucks. What do you think of excuse that India only sucks because of British colonialism? I think um that's a huge ass excuse that doesn't make any sense. China was also under British colonialism and China's doing better than India. Yeah, Indian culture kind of sucks. Not kind of, it sucks. I mean, there's Bezlers everywhere. It's man, just look at India. Look at they're drinking water that's drenched in human shit for crying out loud. It's like not. It's terrible. I am absolutely wrong about India. Okay, tell me why I'm wrong. Oh, you're joking. Thank God. I thought I was actually going to deal with somebody who believed that. Yes, they drink the holy river of human shit. Theo, you used to be in North Cali? Yes, I was in the Bay Area. I was born. According to Martin Armstrong, India will be. By the way, Zakhar Mitchiev, where are you from? By the way, because your last name is very unique. I've never seen a last name like that before. According to Martin Armstrong, India will be the economic center of the world circa 2500. Well, Martin Armstrong is full of shit. Okay, forget that guy. Isn't he like a isn't he like a false prophet or something? Martin Armstrong. I've heard that name before. Sounds like a cult leader. Oh, economic forecaster. I don't give a crap about what this guy has to say. He's full of shit. That's another thing. A lot of these libs, a lot of these economists and all that, they talk about like, oh, this country is going to be a world superpower. There's even an acronym for this. It's called BRICS. You can look this up. BRICS. BRICS. Okay, BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, I can understand China. I could also understand Russia. I can't understand Brazil, and I definitely can't understand India. Or yeah, India, and I definitely cannot understand South Africa. Like, why the hell is South Africa in the mix? Dude, South Africa. People have no idea how much South Africa sucks. It sucks. And people are like, I want to go visit Johannesburg. Oh, I want to go to Cape Town. Oh, South Africa. South Africa is one of the biggest shitholes in the world. Okay, it's one of the highest murder rates on Earth. Over 70 murders per 100,000. 98% of the people there have been victims of violent crime. The white people who live in South Africa literally have to live in like their own enclaves with armed security. South Africa sucks. I mean, it's a shitty place. The white South Africans want to leave. They want to go to America, Europe, wherever. I don't blame them. It's just a shitty place. It sucks. South Africa sucks. It's the rape capital of the world. It's the AIDS capital of the world. It is a shitty place. One out of every like 4 women in South Africa have AIDS. AIDS, man. When my dad went there, he paid this cab driver to take him to the hotel, and the cab driver is like, "You see, the women that are around here do not have sex with any of them. They all have the AIDS." And my dad's like this dude just started talking about this. Like, they all have the AIDS. They all have AIDS. AIDS. Look at my eyes. AIDS. All of them. They all have AIDS. So yeah, forget South Africa. South Africa. I hate South Africa. Hate. There's several countries that I despise. India, Pakistan is one of them, and I hate freaking South Africa. And yeah, those countries. I hate those countries. They suck. They suck. I got a scam caller here. Oh, hello. Hello. Looks like the connection from India is bad. See here. British colonialism ended the India people from putting the dead husbands living. Yeah, I know. They brought some kind of civilization to India. Ted, you got to work on your melanation. I know, man. Got to work on that melanation. Theo, do you think China will invade Taiwan? No, I don't think so. China that'll be, yeah. That's World War III. I don't think China will do that. China already has this concept of the what was it? The one China policy, basically that Taiwan is under China. So as long and America will respect that to prevent war, which is why when Trump said, I spoke to the president of Taiwan, like everybody lost their shit because they were terrified that China was going to get pissed at the US. Here's the thing, America is not interested in a war with China. I've heard this nonsense for years about how America is going to go to war with China. China this and China that. America's going to go over China. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. America is not going to have a war with China. America had enough difficulty fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. You think they want to go to war with a billion people? A billion Jackie Chans walking around with guns and bayonets and mines? Because let me tell you something about Asian people. Asian people can be very nice, but when they're angry, watch out. Asian people are the most violent people in the world. They will bayonet you. They will skewer you, impale you. They'll put booby traps everywhere. You'll fall into a ditch and get impaled alive. Like, they are crazy. They are nuts. Look at America's war with 2 different America's wars, plural, with two different Japanese countries, Japan and Vietnam. I mean, it was hell. It was complete hell on earth. It made Iraq look like a good time. It was horrible, 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 horrible place. So America has zero interest to go to war with China. We just left Iraq and Afghanistan. We're in no place to be, or we're in no position to be going to war with anyone, let alone freaking China. So there's evidence of this. For example, was General, was it Truman, I believe? Let me see. Hold on. There was a president of the U.S. No, hold on. There was a general who wanted to nuke China. Yeah, what was his name? Truman, I believe. MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur wanted to nuke China. Guess what? He got released from whatever government position he was in. They got rid of him because America does not want to have a war with China. Trump, like there was there's a big controversy in the U.S. right now over this General Miley, I think his name is, and he went to the Chinese and he said, "Listen, we're not going to go to war with you guys. Don't worry about it. America's not going to attack you." And Trump's like, "This guy's a traitor." No, this guy is practical. Like America does not want to have a war with China. Do you know what America's biggest fear is? It's not Islamic fundamentalism. It's not terrorism. America's biggest fear, believe it or not, is a German Russian alliance. That's America's biggest fear. Because if you have a German Russian alliance, they're unstoppable. They'll eclipse the American empire. And the Americans won't know what to do. They won't know what to do. Is this light too much? Is that better? I think that's better. I think that's good. So, anyway, yeah. America has some pretty, the biggest existential threat to the US is not China, it's not terrorism. The biggest existential threat is a Russian German alliance, but emphasis on the German part. Colonialism ended the barbaric act, yes, of tying someone to a pole in the hot sun till they're dead. That's horrific. Sicily is white and quite bloody. Those are the darkest people in Italy. Those are like North African people. Yeah, Nigerians are some of the most prosperous and educated people. Yeah, I know that. That's what I just said. They're very well paid, very successful. But again, it's not just any Nigerian. These are the most like these are people from wealthier families, people who were who have been educated, went to university, they have degrees. Like those are the types of Nigerians that we're bringing over here. I keep getting emails from Nigerians. Dude, we know we know Nigerian scam artists. They exist. Dr. Soul had spoken about it many times. There are a lot of YouTube videos are available along with his audiobooks. What about gay men less likely to express violence physically? Dude, I don't give a shit what study came up. There's sodomites who are hell of look at all the serial killers. Yeah. Anyway, enough of this gay talk. I don't care. I don't care what those sickos want. Look at all the biggest serial killers. A lot of them are homosexual. Saw a documentary on Eritrea in French, and I was shocked how orderly they were. They were very poor and have a brutal dictatorship, but they acted calm, and surprisingly, a lot of them knew English. We're talking about Eritrea. Yeah, Eritrea and Ethiopia are probably the most civilized countries in Africa because they're Afro-Arab, very much so influenced by Middle Eastern culture. But at the same time, Christianity has a huge influence in Ethiopia, probably more so than any other African country. Because when you go to countries like Uganda, they're not following Eastern Orthodox Christianity. In Uganda, they're like, we have the Pastor Peter Paul. He brought a chicken to the church, sprinkled blood on the pulpit to make more money for the church. Like that's the type of Christianity that they have over there. But in Eritrea and Ethiopia, it's like they're making the sign of the cross. They're doing fasting. They're praying all the time. They're especially Ethiopians, very, very spiritual people and very peaceful people. So yeah, I really believe that if Africans were like extremely Catholic or extremely Eastern Orthodox, their societies would be much better. Crime rate relates to morality. Any other excuse are bound to slippery slope. Yeah, I know. I agree. But again, there are certain like there's a system that really shouldn't be broken. In 17th century, two Dutch prime ministers were killed and eaten by a mob. Okay, tell me about this, please. I've never heard of this. Crime rate is directly correlated to economic conditions. Um, yeah. The question is why are they poor? Why are they poor? And why are you committing crime? Even if you're poor, though, why are you committing crime? My father was very poor when he came to the United States. He lived in the ghetto of South Side of Chicago. Never participated in crime. Never participated in murdering anybody, like robbing someone at gunpoint, selling drugs. Never resorted to that sort of stuff. My dad worked his freaking ass off. We in the Western world kill in a civilized way with drones. In Africa, they use machine. Well, that's another thing that we have to keep in mind is that the white man can be just as savage as the African, but when the white man does it, it's systematic, and the white man takes his time before enacting any sort of violence. I've said this before. That's the difference between how white people function and how other people function. White people will wait decades. Once their patience is gone, they're that's it. There's no turning back. That train has been set, and you may be in the train going to the camp. So we got to be very careful when we're talking about violence and race, because white people they can be extremely destructive and extremely dangerous, but they just take their time. But once that time is up, then your time is up. You better run. That's why I'm saying if there's another 9/11 in this country, I'm staying home. I'm not walking around because I know that some crazy white people are going to be like, whoo, whoo, found one, boys. Boom. So I'm staying home. I'm not going anywhere. I'll tell you right now, if we have another 9/11, there'll be something outside of the house more dangerous than any virus. It's an angry human being, a disgruntled human being who has zero who has a sense of who has zero sense of understanding that not everyone's a freaking terrorist walking around. European pagan gods equal Chad thunder gods. Oh man, yeah, okay. Let's talk about like all the weird gay rituals that Vikings got involved. Oh yeah, let's talk about sex trafficking that the Vikings used to do. I remember talking to a Pakistani guy who wished the British had never left. I met a Mexican dude who told me that the Spaniards were better off just ruling Mexico, and Mexico was better off just being ran by Spaniards. By that thinking, good people are always those that have more money. Yep, exactly. Yeah, why are they rich people who are doing crimes? There are rich people who do crimes. There are rich people who do all sorts of horrible things. So, yeah. Countries went into the tank after the colonists left. Racist grocers not woke. Sure, yeah. More poor people are okay. Hold on. What is the poorest neighborhood in America? Poorest neighborhood in America. Poorest neighborhood in America is Willimantic. Willimantic, Connecticut is the poorest neighborhood in all of America. It says here that Willimantic is 66% white. What is the crime rate in Willimantic? Crime rate's freaking high. 163. Hold on. What's the murder rate? Yeah, Willimantic's very dangerous. Hmm. 45%. Hold on a second. 45% white, and then 24% Hispanic. Interesting. Show the thief videos in Africa. They're brutal. Yeah, look at South Africa. It's a complete shithole. Also, are all people on planet except for Semites and blacks descendants of Japheth? What? No. Are all people on planet except the Semites and blacks? You have Semites, Hemites, and Japhethites. Japhethites are Africans, indigenous people, and then you have Japhethites who are the white folks, and then you have Semites, which are the Middle Eastern folks. Do I support? Do I already said I don't? It's like you give this like 30-minute spiel about something, and they're like, "Or do you support eugenics?" Like, dude, I literally said that we cannot support eugenics. This is why I do not like. This is why I can't have discussions with people. I can't because everyone you start talking about this stuff. It's like a practical view on race, and everyone's like, "You're eugenists." Not always. That depends on how overwhelming majority. Are you a eugenist? I literally said I'm not a eugenist. Politics can affect culture as well. Communism left Eastern Europe as a culture of more stealing and bribery. Yep, it's like I said. This is why I keep trying. We can't be black and white, guys. For some reason, I can't help but sympathize with Spain, a beautiful country with a rich history. The divide in the U.S. is mostly an economic divide. Okay. India is an art. Yeah, dude, I've talked to people who are poor and they literally don't know shit. How like they literally are shit with money. I'm telling you right now, I've met people in my life who were poor and they had kids to feed and they were wasting their money on bullshit. Wasting their money. Um, I knew this one guy who made decent money. Like he was poor and then he started making decent money. And guess what happened? The dumbass didn't even want to put in some money to buy his house a heater because he was wasting his money on their stupid shit. So like there are people who are poor. I'm poor in America. They're poor. In other countries, I can see it, but in other countries, you have people who are poor, but they actually have like they're actually responsible. You have people in America who were poor, and they're just shit with money. Don't save nothing. Don't invest in anything. India is an artificial union created by the British with the help of the updude. I know. Yeah, I've heard all this stuff before. It's still shit. Yeah, uppercase Brahmin. They all suck. What about Mexican hoods, Bato? Um, they can be violent as well. But yet again, I've worked with a lot of Mexicans and they weren't violent as well at all. So I used to live in Mexico, and when I lived in Mexico, it was actually very, very peaceful place. Yeah, I know. The southern India doesn't like it, and yeah, I understand. Yeah, you got to look at things case by case. You can't just this is that and this is this. Like you got to look at well, yeah, like, you have to look at other examples. People, violence in Europe, murder in Europe. Yes, those things happen. Can white people be violent? Absolutely. But generally speaking, there is a problem. That generally speaking, there's it is the case that when areas are mainly black, they have high crime rates. It is the case. You can blame economics, you could blame poverty, but how do you explain the fact that even when people are making decent money, that they're still involved in crime? Like there was some NFL, what was it, an NFL or basketball player who was caught shoplifting recently. Asia is an exception. Everywhere else went into the tank. Bribery is everywhere because that's how we used to do things under communism. Vadinci, where are you from? Just don't take your dog with you in China. Depends which hood, vato. Or the Philippines. Yeah, Philippines, yeah. Manila has a lot of crime. I can excuse your Turkish ancestry for now. Yeah, there are areas that are very Mexican that are very safe. I've been to them. They're just working class people, very safe. There are certain Mexican neighborhoods in America that are dangerous, but for the most part, I mean, they're actually quite safe. Not a lot of problems. Yes, I do have Turkish ancestry. My great great grandmother was Ottoman. It's a fact. She was Ottoman. My grandfather's grandmother. Yes, grandfather's grandmother was Ottoman, and yeah, I'm very mixed. Circassian, Turk, Semitic. I'm very mixed person. Howdy, our Croatian friend. Again, depend. Okay, hold on. You guys are writing a whole bunch of stuff here. Um, my mother is from Mexico. Yes. Hold on a second. Now you guys are arguing about alcohol. I knew this was going to start trolling people. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, Daoud, he looked kind of European, so he could have been Circassian or I don't know, but he was a Muslim. He was, yeah. Um, okay, Vidinci, if you're going to ask like really annoying questions like this, I mean, just stop. Stop with this stupid question. Enough. Um, let's see here. All countries in your area fought for independence from the Dutch. If there is economic depression in this current administration, do you Republicans see can sweep Nick? Yeah. If I had to make a guess about the next election, I don't think Biden is going to be the next president. I think he's going to be a one-term president. That's my opinion. Republicans are on the other wing of the same bird of prey. While your thought, okay, what's your thoughts? Okay, this is a stupid ass question. This is just a stupid question. Daoud is a Muslim version of. I know what it is. There's there's people in all over the Muslim world with his name. We featured all three countries' independence history on our server. Wow, such an unreasonable fellow that Ukrainian guy. Yeah, he was violent, dude. He was a violent person. I wasn't the first person that he attacked. He was a crazy person. Crazy. Eventually he got beaten up by some black kid though, so that's what happens when you're a violent person. Someone else is going to beat your ass up. Would you marry a black woman? Oh, no. Well, unless she was like really hot. I don't know. She would have to be super hot, okay? Like Alicia Keys hot. She looked like Alicia Keys, and yeah, but maybe. Do you read any fiction, Theo? I tried reading Dostoevsky one time. I just couldn't do it. I'm like, this is somebody's fantasy. I can't read this. It's a fake story. It never happened. It's like this is my biggest problem with reading fiction. It's like I tried reading Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment years ago, and after like 100 pages, I said, I can't do this. I got to read something real. I got to read it. This didn't happen. Um, Finland has a high suicide rate. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Aren't they all like on antidepressants over there? Drink your wine with a merry heart from the Psalms. Absolutely. Sweden was left mostly intact after World War II compared to the rest of Europe. That's why they were on one of the most dominant. Oh, I see. If you drink wine and it represents the blood of Jesus, does that make one a cannibal? No, because you're drinking the blood of God, actually. So no, it doesn't. Uh, Vidinci, no, because Jesus had two natures, exactly, divine and human. We Romanians and Russians are very antagonistic towards each other. It seems that everybody in Eastern Europe hates Russia. Like Poles hate them, Georgians don't like them. It just seems like everybody's horrified of Russia. Brazil and South Africa has one of the highest Chinese investments in there. Yeah, China is investing all over Africa. Sweden was neutral in World War II, and yeah, they were neutral, but they love them. They love that eugenics, and a lot of them were Nazis. Reminds me of Yugo nostalgics, and their Yugoslavia had third strongest military in the world, bro. Is it true that Russian people eat lots of mayonnaise? This time the Vikings will be gay. They were gay. They were gay in the past too. Thoughts on China wanting to take over Hong Kong? I don't see that happening unless it's like a seriously dire situation. I just don't see that happening. I think that if China had troops on the city, it would just destabilize all of East Asia. I mean, you would have the Japanese would be on that so fast. I'm not saying you're going to have like Japanese boots on the ground overnight, but the Japanese would just accelerate their military capacity tenfold over that, and the prospect of war between China and Japan would just it would increase by by 100 times. Let's just put it that way. Um, Talking about Texas, what places do you recommend? Um, just don't go to Houston. Anywhere but Houston. That's what I would recommend. Texas is a big ass state, boy. You can put a lot of people in here, but if you want to move to Texas, anywhere but Houston. Just don't go to Houston. Yeah, China already has control over Hong Kong, so you're right. Currently, it doesn't really have a reason to invade Hong Kong. I remember there were those riots in Hong Kong that were absolutely brutal, and it was horrific what was happening. And the Chinese had to kick some ass. Can't blame them. Greetings from Pakistan. Hello, Adil John. Ted, you said the Turks will invade the Balkans in the future. I don't think so. Okay, so I think what I said was they can invade the Balkans or they'll use certain countries as proxies. Now, later on in the comment section, you say that Turkey won't be able to invade Europe. And I think you are right. I will agree with you on that one. I do not think Turkey has the ability to invade Europe. I think Europe is going to have its own problems in the future, especially with Germany. I don't think Turkey is going to be invading all of Europe. I think Turkey will eventually do something in the Balkans, some kind of an invasion, working hand to hand with the Albanians, with Bosnians. But I don't see Turkey invading Europe. I think Turkey is going to be mainly in the East, Middle East, and Central Asia, and also in the South Caucasus. Let's see. Brits beat China in some war and forced them to lease the new territories in Hong Kong. Yeah, the British left Hong Kong in the 90s, and Hong Kong is the only, this extremely capitalistic place. Germany, Russia doesn't have economy or military. Yeah, that's what everybody says. But Germany has immense capabilities to become a military superpower. That's the thing. You don't really need to have like these pretentious military marches to show your strength. Like Germany has huge industrial capabilities. Their industrial capacity is one of the best on earth. They're one of the biggest exporters in the world for industrial manufactured goods. They're also one of the biggest arms dealers in the world. Like Germany has the capabilities to be an empire if it wanted to. Theodore General Truman wanted to nuke the Soviet Union, not China. Yeah, I didn't say Truman. I said MacArthur. MacArthur wanted to nuke China. Our Indonesia independence war or the Dutch version of Vietnam? Yeah, it's that bad, possibly worse for both sides. But I would say Indonesia has done decently well. I would say. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. There is always a fight at a Polish wedding. Guys get wasted and start talking smack to each other. Man, that sucks. I would hate to be at a wedding like that. I'm not a huge fan of weddings. I don't like going to weddings. When people invite me to weddings, I'm like, no, can't do it. COVID. Scared of getting the COVID. There's something about weddings. I don't know. I find them to be just kind of pretentious. Maybe because it's not my wedding. I'm like, I don't care about your wedding 'cause it's not. I'm not the one getting married. So, but I don't like going to weddings. There was only one wedding that I enjoyed going to. It was many years ago in Sacramento. The daughter of a friend of my father's invited us to a wedding, and they had amazing roast beef. And that was it. We have the best military weapons. Who is we? XYZ. Theodore, do you think Ethiopia is peaceful? You don't know about the genocide and famine happened there. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a war going on there. Yep. But for the most part, I mean, like Ethiopia is probably a lot more peaceful than like okay, when countries go to war, they're going to be very violent, like the Balkans, right? Like I can go to Serbia right now. I'm not really worried about being mugged or anything like that, but like when there was a war in the Balkans, they were absolutely brutal with each other. So yeah, just yeah, absolutely. How do you see the policy of giving false strikes on YouTube? And recently, David Wood was raising the voice. So false strikes can be repealed. Um, I've had two cases where this has happened to me. One time I posted up a video. It was exposing. Oh God, the internet goes down. Hold on. Can you guys see me? Okay, looks like we're good. I posted up a video on YouTube showing some kind of Islamic fundamentalist propaganda, and then YouTube did a strike saying, "Oh, you're promoting terrorism." And I wrote YouTube and I said, "I'm not doing that whatsoever. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm doing this strictly for educational purposes." YouTube wrote back to me about an hour later saying, "You're right. We apologize," and they put the video back up. This happened to me. Same thing happened to me a second time, and it was not with Islamic propaganda. It was with Nazi propaganda, and I was just exposing some Nazis. And they wrote me and saying, "Oh, you can't be promoting this work." And I'm like, "I wasn't promoting it. I was simply doing it for educational purposes." And YouTube wrote back to me about an hour later and said, "You're right. We're sorry." They put the video back up. So you are wrong, Theo. Mexico was better off only when the Habsburgs were ruling the Spanish Empire. Okay, it would still be better under Spain, I think. What is the best gardening tips you have? Consistency. That's the best gardening tip I would give to anybody. Would be consistency. You got to be consistent with your garden. You got to water it every day or at least every other day. If you're living in a very hot climate, you should be watering it every day. If you're living in a wet, rainy climate, obviously you don't have to do that, but you should be consistent with your garden. You should look at your plants every single day. Do they need water? Is there a fungus? Are they suffering from fungus? You put your seeds in the ground, you water, you check, are they sprouting? Has something come up out of the ground yet? So, oh, something has come up on the ground. You watch it. You watch the plant. You watch it grow. It's like a child. You got to watch it. Watch the plants grow. Watch the plants grow. If you see something off, do something about it. Be consistent with gardening. Like anything else in life, you have to be observant and be consistent. And if as long as you are observant and consistent in the world of gardening, you will succeed. Just like at anything else in life, you will succeed. Theodore, do you think Ethiopia is peaceful? You don't know. Okay, you already read that. You already wrote that to me. In essence, Mexico was created by Our Lady of Guadalupe. Yep. And now they wear Our Lady of Guadalupe as a gang sign, which is sad. All people are descendants of the great Serb. Welsh are Serbian. Scots are Serbians. The Celts were Serbian. Romans were Serbian. Greeks too. Ancient Jews. You guessed it. Serbian. Everybody's Serbian. Yes. My aunt earned over 100,000 a year, and she still lost her house to foreclosure. I don't know the full story, so I can't make any conclusions on what happened. People have all sorts of stories, like, oh, this American soldier is getting court-martialed for just being a because he was patriotic, and then you find out he like bashed some Guantanamo inmate's head in or something. I don't know. People have oh, this happened to me. I was arrested for no reason at all. You find out that you're like not feeding your kids or something. I don't know. Um, let's see here. Hold on. When I move the cursor, sometimes it just like goes off, and I have to scroll back up. I'm mixed Portuguese and Indian, living in America. Oh, I see. Are you from Goa, or where are you from? Which part of India? Um, why did Eastern martial arts become popular in the West? Why did whites feel the need to emulate fighting styles? Um, so Eastern martial arts, I think, became very popular. They started to become known in the US after World War II. They were known in other countries before that. For example, judo was known in Russia before it was known in the US, and the Russians took judo and they made it into sambo. Sambo is just a descendant of judo. Judo also got introduced to Brazil, and the Brazilians made it into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. After World War II, you had all these karate masters who came to the US, and they started opening up schools, and karate became known in the US. Now, Kung Fu, so I have a lot of opinions on this. There's nothing really wrong with Eastern martial arts as far as like fighting capability, but it all depends on the training. There are numerous karate styles that are very effective. Okay. If you look at, but again, it depends on the training. If you have a karate school and all they're doing is training kata all day, they're doing forms like what you see in Karate Kid, but there's no practical application and there's no sparring, then you will get your ass kicked. Okay, against someone who is trained or who has some kind of fighting experience, or perhaps is more aggressive than you are. But if you're going to a karate school and you're hitting bags and you're hitting makiwara, makiwara is a board that you hit to make your fist more powerful. You're hitting makiwara, and then you're also doing practical application. And by that, I mean sparring. And the sparring is live, meaning that you are sparring with headgear, gloves, mouthpieces, and you're fighting against someone who is resisting you. So someone who's trying to beat you up and you're trying to beat that other person up. And you're doing it within a rule set so that you don't have any sort of serious injury, like getting kicked in the balls or something, or getting blinded. I think that going through that type of training is what's going to prepare. It's going to be good for you, right? Because you're going to know about aggression. You're going to be able to handle aggression. You're going to know, you're going to be conditioned to be aggressive and to endure through someone else being aggressive towards you. If somebody hits you in the face in sparring, it's going to be a big shock in the beginning, but after being hit in the face so many times, you're eventually going to get used to it. You're going to realize that it's not the end of the world, and you're going to continue fighting. Okay, you got hit in the face, not the end of the world. Continue fighting, and that's what you do in a school where you're going to learn how to fight. Now, if you go to a kung fu school and you're wearing some like Mulan gown from Disney, and you're doing like weird movements, Tai Chi stuff, and that's all you're doing, it may be good as a physical activity, but be honest with yourself and know that it's not going to help you fight. Okay. It's going to just be a nice physical activity for you. You can do it in a park with some elderly Asian people to prevent heart disease. And as long as you're honest with yourself, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but it's not going to help you fight. Okay. Now, if you're at a kung fu school, where they have a very what do they call it? Very full contact styles. Okay, like uh, there's there's a kung fu boxing system that's very good. I forgot the name of it, but it's used by the Chinese military. But in this system of kung fu, they have gloves, headgear, takedowns, punches, kicks, spinning back kicks, and it's full contact, and they do have very aggressive sparring, and they also hit bags and all those types of things, and they also do have a lot of emphasis on conditioning. So you're going through all of that. That is going to condition you to fight. Okay, same thing. This is why boxing schools, Muay Thai schools, jiu-jitsu schools, they are very effective because they teach you sparring. Another term for this is live training. If your school does not have live training meaning that you are resisting another opponent and he's resisting you, and you're applying what you have learned in an intense situation like sparring. um, if you have that, then you're going to learn how to fight. Bottom line. If you don't have that, you're not going to learn how to fight. Bottom line. It's very simple. um, Now, why did Americans get interested in karate? I think it was something new, and also I think at that time Americans were used to really only two forms of fighting, and that was wrestling and boxing. And wrestling and boxing are very good fighting arts, but they're different from something like karate, where you have straight punches, but you also have kicks. And if you look at um, Shotokan karate, which is a big mainstream style of karate. Many Shotokan schools have been watered down, but in a legitimate Shotokan school, you're going to be hitting bags and you're going to be sparring and you're going to be able to throw some very effective strikes. And I've seen Shotokan karate guys who are no joke brutal fighters who can bring down the house. Kyokushin karate is another style of karate that's very effective. Um, but I think maybe it was because it was something different. Like jujitsu is something that came from the East, but it ended up in Brazil. Brazilians modified it, and you had Brazilians who were kicking people's asses. Why? Because jujitsu is like wrestling in the sense that it's grappling, and yeah, you have takedowns and things like that. But jujitsu is very different from wrestling in the sense that you can still beat somebody up even though they're on top of you. So someone is on top of you and they're trying to beat you up, and you can grab their arm and break their arm. Well, that's something that the West had never seen before. But then when it got introduced in the West, everybody wanted to do it because it was something that was effective. It was effective in the sense that even though a wrestler could take someone down, that wrestler could still lose. So in the system of Western wrestling, it's all focus. Its emphasis is on taking the other person down, and pinning him, controlling him. That's what wrestling focuses on. In a wrestling match, it's you take the person down and you pin him for a certain number of seconds, and the ref says, "Okay, you're the winner." In jujitsu, if someone takes the other person down, that does not mean that the person who succeeded in the takedown is going to win. That just means you took the person down. The person that you just took down could still beat you by triangle choking you, arm barring you, or doing some kind of collar choke on you. So jujitsu is way more dynamic, and there are way more things to do in jujitsu, and you have many options in jujitsu. It's not just, oh, he took me down, I lose. Oh, he took me down, now he's going to punch me and beat me up. No, it's he took me down, Yeah, he can punch me in the face, and he probably is going to punch me in the face because he still is in a dominating position. But I can still move my head, grab his collar, do a collar choke, or I can push my feet up and explode my hips up and get a triangle choke on him and choke him out. So the reason why people got into these types of arts is because they work. I mean, they do. They work. So I hope that answers your question. Antonio de Santana. Okay, yes, Freemason. We all know that. A lot of people were Masons in those days. Don't you believe in by 2050 all the superpower nations will be in Asia? No, I don't believe that. I think that there's a lot of power in controlling Asia because of all the natural resources there. That's why Russia is so focused on Central Asia. Um, but just because of that, I mean, what I think China and Japan are the two biggest things in Asia, obviously. But I think Japan has more of an edge over China. But you know, I think that Europe is still extremely powerful. I think that we shouldn't. Oh, it's going to be the Asians. Yes, the Philippines. The Philippines is going to take over the world. No, I don't believe that. I think they're it's like Africa. Why are many empires have tried to control Africa? Why? Because of the resources. Same thing with Asia. Jovan Deretic said that, and I think he knows a little bit more about the history of Serbs because he invented it and then he perfected it. I see. We're doing some inside jokes here. I'm okay. The U.S. was going to win the Mexican War anyway, but Mexico sucks at war. They can't even control their own country. What do you think of the South Park episode? I don't know. I never watched it. I don't really like that show. I think it's disgusting. I think a lot of it, some of the stuff is obviously funny, but I think it's disgusting. Theodore, do you believe by 2050? Okay, I already answered this. Does anyone think Kamala will be president after? No, I don't think she'll be president. I don't think she'll be president. No, I don't believe it because I don't think people want to see her. That's. I don't think she has the look to be a president. She looks like an angry inner city vice principal. Have you considered the fact that African and Middle Eastern refugees is uniting the nationalist Europeans under the same site and creating a racial? Have I ever considered this? I've written many, 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 many articles on this subject from 2016 onwards. So you can go on shootbot.com, type in nationalist, type in right wing, far right, type in those terms. There are tons of articles that I have written on this subject. Absolutely, I have considered it. Crime and Punishment is one of the best novels ever written. Yeah, I know. I have a copy. I never finished it. I order a book, but got two by mistake and wanted to know if you want one of them in the mail. Um, if you want to send it to me, write me at my Facebook page. Um, or write me on Twitter if you have Twitter. Write me up on Twitter, or go on Twitter. Do Twitter. You can write me on Twitter or Facebook, and we can work it out. Everybody in Eastern Europe hates each other. Yeah, that's true. Goods. What are you talking about? Especially older generations have nice feeling to Russia culturally. Vidinci, are you Eastern European? What do you think about monasteries that practice silence vow? Um, I mean, it's a contemplative method. I don't I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with it. I think that most people wouldn't be able to handle that though, without suffering some kind of psychosis. I don't know. We used to be on the front wall of Christendom before. Yeah, I know. That whole area, people keep talking about it. They're like, "Did you know about the Battle of Austria, Battle of Vienna?" They were like all these like Slavic people uniting together to fight Islam. It's like, yes, I know, I know. They were good people, I'm sure, but damn it, let's not forget what happened in the Second Balkan War when Balkan people allied with the Ottoman Empire to fight Bulgaria. Um, we get along with everyone except for Serbs, Bosniaks, Montenegrins, Albanians, Turks, Russians, Italians. We get along with some people. Yes, yes, absolutely. Privyet, privyet. Yes, yes. Babushka. Theo, do you believe in the Virgin's appearance in Fatima? I don't. Yes, I don't know. It's not official church doctrine. If Japan expands its militaristic powers, they should build a Hello Kitten mecha robot to fight China and make fun of them at the same. That's pretty funny, I have to admit. Uh, hold on. The Cuser got messed up here. My English is terrible. Why is Theo's internet on par with my uncle's dial? My internet sucks, dude. I live in an area that has really shitty internet. If Japan expands, okay. Are Asiatic and Turkic people considered descendants of I think they are. Maybe. I think yeah, I think so. I'm not entirely sure. I saw the Turks are kind of like mystery. They're like mystery meat of humans. Like are you European? Are you I'm not entirely sure. Hold on a second. My cat wants to come in. Oh. Oh, kitty, you want food? Oh. Kitty cat wanted food. Let's see here. Are Asiatic and Turkic people okay? I saw a book that predicted Japan was going to economically take over the US and nothing. Yeah, of course, because that's not the point. We're talking about militarism here. The thing about Eastern Asian countries is that they're very aggressive export economies. If the West decides to stop trade with them, it will ruin them. Yeah, just like China. Like Walmart. If Walmart decided to stop buying Chinese products, it would ruin their whole economy. God is Serbian. Don't you know? God is Serbian. He's Serbian. I tell you right now, Serbian. Yeah, they're saying the same thing about the China. I don't believe China is China. It kind of sucks too because China's got like a billion people, and they're not even beating the United States. They got like I mean, they had good money, 13 trillion or 14 trillion, but how much of that is actually being distributed throughout the population? If you look at the GDP of the EU, it's actually about the same as. It's actually. Hold on, let me just make sure I'm not going to make a mistake here. GDP of the European Union. What? No. 15 trillion. Is it trillion? Hold on. Yeah, 15 trillion. So it's a believe it or not, GDP of okay, the EU is 15 trillion. GDP of China is 14. So so the EU is still beating the Chinese, and the EU has half a billion people. So with half of China's population, with half of China's population, the Europeans are still beating the Chinese. So China also kind of like is. I don't think China is as big as people think it is. What is your favorite places to search online for gardening tips? I think Self Sufficient Me has some good stuff. Self Sufficient Me. Um, epic gardening is okay. Growing your greens is okay. Honestly, pretty much everything that I've learned when it comes to gardening is from like trying things that I've seen people do on YouTube and like failing at it, but then getting better. So, um, it's basically everything that I've learned is through trial and error. I've made the mistakes that a lot of people make, but you learn from your mistakes and you keep on going. I hate to sound trite, but that's just the fact. Um, yeah, I think with gardening, like anything else in life, like any other hobby, you just got to do it. Bottom line. What do you think about crypto? I don't invest in crypto, but I've met people who have, and they say that it works. And I think that if you want to invest, go ahead. I've heard people making pretty decent money with it. You're from Goa. Okay, I knew it. Okay, yeah, Goa was all like Portuguese. Kyokushin for life. Kyokushin is an awesome martial art. If there was one martial art that I would learn, it would be Kyokushin. I just love their style, like the way the kicks and the punches, the knees. It's like straightforward, very tough, very practical, and man, it's a good style. Good breakdown of combat sports. Thank you. Thank you. Martial arts has been something that I've had a great deal of interest in. I did some training in kickboxing for a couple of years. A little bit of jujitsu, about 10 months of jujitsu. I left because the coach was kind of a psycho. One day I'll do a video on my experiences in martial arts. I've had very good experiences in martial arts, and I've had some terrible experiences. But yeah, Ted, you're into martial arts? Yes, I'm very much into martial arts. I don't train anymore except for hitting the bag. That's all I do is I hit the bag, but I don't train in a school anymore. I did train in a school for a number of years. I was kickboxing, like basically American kickboxing, taekwondo type stuff, for a couple of years, and I absolutely loved it. And a lot of fun, but too many injuries. Did Bruce Lee play a role in promoting Chinese martial arts? And he did. Yes, not just in the U.S. but all over Europe. Yes, Sanda. Yes, that's the martial art I was thinking of. Sanda. Yep, that's the only form of kung fu. There's a couple of forms of kung fu that I've seen that are actually legitimate, and one of them is Sanda. I did Saibukan Karate, a branch. Yeah, I've heard of this before. Did you enjoy it? European martial arts have focused on mastering weaponry. Ancient Roman gladiators fought seeing different weapon styles, and medieval martial arts. Yeah, makes sense. Bruce Lee was allegedly the originator of the Kung Fu series idea, but it was stolen by Hollywood, and the role was given to a white guy, David Carradine. Okay. Are you a black belt? No, not a black belt. The Philippines was conquered. Okay, hold on. I don't care. You don't have Twitter or Facebook. Oh my god. I don't know. Um, let me see something here. Oh, my cat has decided to visit me. Hello, kitty. Contact. Email me at. Hold on. You have Discord? Maybe you can write me on Discord. Oh, you're Eastern. You are Eastern European. Okay. Do you believe in theosis? Yes, I do. What do you think of Pastor Steven Anderson? Make some good points. Still a lunatic. Do you think Germany will be involved in the Neo Ottoman Empire? Yes, I think Germany will be an ally against Israel. Wouldn't surprise me. Hello, Ricky. Have you seen Dale and Tucker versus Evil? No, I have not. The only one that can defeat Slav and other Slav. According to our historic legend, Croats noble butchered their king and to avoid going to the crusade. Turks are Asians. Not looking good there, but yeah, I know. Living that single life, man. I'm a cat daddy. Walmarts in China and the US are the same. Both have a small section for made in the US stuff. You can't fully trust China's numbers. Commies be messing with those figures and statistics. I just clicked on this and I hear God is Serbian. Well, as a Serb, I would like to thank you, Theodore. Oh man, what a coincidence. Like you just clicked on it. It's like God is Serbian. Like all I needed was like some of that like weird Serbian ethno music with the weird accordion. Zvonimir Zagonk. Comment on the war in Yugoslavia? Oh my god, how much time do you have? Basically, my cat wants to get out, so she's probably going to disturb me in the middle of this. But Croats wanted their own state. Albanians wanted their own state. Bosnians wanted their own state. There were Serbian nationalists who wanted to maintain Yugoslavia, but there were also Serbian nationalists in Croatia who were causing problems. Ethnic tensions arose up. You had Albanian terrorists going to what was it? They were going into Kosovo and they were murdering people. Uh, there were all sorts of murders happening. Eventually, the war broke out. NATO got involved, bombed the hell out of the Serbs. Yugoslavia, no more. Very horrific what happened. A lot of people died. Yes, Black Dance. And I took a break from it for years now. Walmart's in China and the USA. Okay. Do you like Kung Fu Panda? Thought it was a funny movie. Yeah. Explain animal suffering. They suffer. I don't agree with animal cruelty. Have you considered putting your videos on Bit? Yes, I have. I already have a bunch of videos on BitChute. What is your favorite dog? German Shepherd. What books have you been reading lately? I just got done with the book I did on the book on Iran. Hold on a second. Let me try to find the book that I'm currently reading. Yeah, right here. So the book that I'm currently reading is this. It's called Poland's Genocide by Tadeusz Piotrowski. So far, very good book. What I like about this book, and this is the reason why I bought it, is because when people talk about the Holocaust in Poland, they always talk about what happened to the Jews. But they never talk about what happened to the ethnic Polish people in the country. Ethnic Poles who were Catholic and they were murdered by the Nazis. So this is what the book talks about. It talks about like what happened to the ethnic Poles. And it also talks about the Ukrainian paramilitaries who were butchering the Poles, communist Jewish gangs who murdered the Poles. And it also gets into Polish people who sold their own people out. It also talks about what the communists did and the German Nazis did. So it explains all sides without focusing on one part over another. It's so far it's very good. It's a very good book. Because they blame them for World War One. Turbo Folk, yes, that's what it's called. I just wanted to hear your opinion. I think that the Yugoslav. Okay, another opinion that I have on the Yugoslav war is that it was basically the beginning of Germany's revival as a superpower. So the Germans armed the Albanians. They were one of the first people to recognize a Croatian independent state. The Germans also were heavily much involved in basically pushing for the bombing of Yugoslavia, and there were also Albanian Nazis who were being recruited by the Germans. So this was Germany's basically this was Germany's first attempt at getting involved in international politics since the end of the Second World War. And that's one thing that I find the most fascinating about Yugoslavia is that it marked the revival of the rise, or it marked the beginning of the rise of Germany, and it began in the 90s in the Yugoslav War. If Semites are Caucasian, doesn't that mean that they're white? Like, technically, yeah, you can say that, but we're not European. When he said explain animal suffering, I think he meant why does God allow it? Oh man, if we're getting into very depressing topics here. Basically to remind us that life isn't free. I tried to buy 90% mining companies, and okay, why do you think it would be fine? Hold on, my cat wants to get out. Will you watch the new movie Dune? It doesn't really look that interesting. What I'm waiting for right now is The Matrix 4, like hardcore. That's what I'm waiting for. Let's see. Theo gets bored by reading Crime and Punishment. Also, Theo reads the 600-page history of a Ukrainian mashed potato soup covered. Pretty much, yeah. That sounds right. That sounds about right. At least it's real. Okay, why should I read Crime and Punishment? Tell me what is it about that book that's so great? Glad to be on your live stream. Thank you. Welcome, Millie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Cryptocurrency. Yes. Okay. You say cat in Romanian. You say pis pisica? Paseka. Matrix sucks? Why? I saw all three Matrix films. I saw the Animatrix. I read all the comic books growing up. Like, The Matrix was my movie. Hardcore. I can't wait for you to meet Heather Green. They will ruin the franchise. Yeah, it's possible, but we'll see what happens. I have some hope. I have some hope that The Matrix will be good. You were very close on your first pronunciation. That's why. Let's go back. Pishka, Piska, Pishcha. The Ukrainian mashed potato is not real. I made it up. You got me, man. You got me. How Raskolnikov cures his existential nihilism is helpful. Oh, I see. So it's like basically you're reading philosophy, but in a fiction. That makes sense. I think I should read. I should go back and read that book. Pisaica, not P. Sorry. Hold on a second. We got ourselves a scammer, boys. Hello? Hello? Hello?
How are you?
I'm doing okay. Yourself?
Okay, we are calling to inform you about government subsidized solar repair program that can help to reduce your electric bill by up to 50%. Are you still paying more than $100 on your monthly electric bill?
I am paying at around right now $108 a month
Okay,
on my
okay.
electric bill because we are still in the middle of summer. But when winter comes, it will be less.
Okay, okay, all right. Are you the homeowner of a single structure residence?
Repeat that again, please. Sorry.
Are you the homeowner of a single structure
Yes,
residence?
I am a homeowner. Yes.
Okay, okay. I mean, it's not a mobile home or condominium, right?
No, no owner of condominium. No, I own a home.
Okay, okay, okay. And you can put sunlight on your rooftop?
Yes, I have very good sunlight.
Okay, that's all done from my side. Now I transfer this call to my one of my senior supervisors for further assist you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for holding on the line. This is Jordan, one of the senior supervisor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Yourself?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for asking. You were just talking with one of our associates, and he mentioned that you are
Yes.
paying around more than $100 on your monthly electric bill, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so you're paying such a high electric bill. So who is your current electric provider?
Well, I have a question for you before we get into this because I understand that there is going to be some money involved in this. But
Well, I'm not asking about any much here.
will the solar panel be able to harness the power of all of the shit that flows in the Ganges River? That is the question that I have. Could you please answer me the question? I love it. I love it. Will the solar panel be able to filter the power, all the shit out of the river Ganges? I hate these people. They need to be trolled hardcore. I don't care. Hardcore scam. Don't hang up. People are like, oh, when I get a scam call, I just hang up the phone. I don't answer it. No, answer it. Troll those bastards. I will never take your solar panels for the most part are a scam anyway. I mean, like, I don't know. Some people get them and they say they're okay, but they're not very good investment from what I've heard. Your Indian accent is good, but it pales in comparison to my impression. Your impression, your Indian, you can do a really good Indian impersonation. It's actually Pisecha, as in the beginning of curly, Piseka. Are solar panels the mark of the beast? Yes. If you have solar panels, you are wearing the mark of Satan on your house. The sun that goes into the solar panels to charge your house, that is actually the power of Satan. Uh yeah, cuz Satan is the prince and power of the air, right? Sun is in the air, so you're harnessing the prince of the air, so it's the devil, guys. Yep. I think our Croatian friend has finally unlocked the mystery of the beast. It is the solar panel scam, everybody. That's the one that's doing it. Hey, if you get some dirty water, you could sell it on eBay as the water from the Ganges. It's the water from Lord Shiva himself. The water from Lord Shiva, I swear to you, it comes from her mouth. Sol Invictus. Yes! Yes, you got it. You are harnessing the power of Sol Invictus, which equals Lucifer. Therefore, the solar panel scam is the Antichrist. We have discovered it. We have finally unlocked it here, boys, on this live stream with the help of a friend from Croatia and Denmark. We have got it. We're going to make some serious money out of this, guys. Let's write a book. Unlocking the Antichrist. Solar panels, everybody. Mind blown, boys. We have taken the red pill. Wind turbines. That's the dude. Solar panels, wind turbines. That is the system of the Antichrist. You are absorbing the power of the Prince of the Air and Sol Invictus, going back to Constantine, who we all know is the precursor to the Antichrist. Mind blown. I have taken the red pill. You have sold me, guys. This is it, boys. We got it. Yes, and I wipe the floor with the jerky boys when it comes to crank calling. That's funny. Remember that deity from Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom? Oh, yes. They got the Sol Invictus Temple in India. The mystery has been solved, guys. Unlocking the Antichrist. It is the holy solar panels. I'm keeping my firewood heater. The more CO2 I release, the sooner I sink Venice. We've been red pilled. That's right. I can't wait for them to put us in hamster wheels to make green energy. That's the system of the Antichrist right there. Solar panels, Sol Invictus, the devil. We have ascended to Alex Jones tier. The Antichrist is a solar paneled robot. That's correct. That's right. He's going to be the Antichrist is going to be powered by solar energy. And the mark of the beast is actually going to be a little solar panel that they're going to put on your right hand. And it's like the power is going to charge your body so that anytime like you want to buy anything, you got to get it scanned. Because it's the mechanism itself is powered by the sun. Playing that Matrix song, every conspiracy theorist puts it on the YouTube videos. Gotta put that Matrix music on that. Oh, and then you have the Matrix song where Neo and Morpheus are walking, and Neo sees the woman in the red dress. That brum, 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 brum. It's like, what do they call it? Symphony something? What's it called? I forgot the name of it. Praise the sun. What's your opinion about Alex Jones? A complete lunatic and a fraudster. I don't like him. Alex Jones is my spirit animal. Oh no. That should scare you. What is your opinion about Alex Jones? Okay, and a wind turbine on your forehead for extra comedic effect. Do you see Korean reunification happening? Possibly. Maybe in a war against the Japanese, yeah. But that's it, guys. It's the solar panel scam. That is the Antichrist, everybody. We got it. I'm having way too much fun with you guys today. Way too much fun. Brr. Alex Jones is a prophet. That's insane. That's crazy, guys. Ted, we need your opinion on E. Michael Jones and Nick Fuentes. I have never, dude. I am not going to read Michael Jones because of you guys. That's it. I'm not reading his book. Forget it. I got 2 books of his. I'm not going to read them. If I do read him, I think I'll do videos on his books just to troll everybody. I made salmon and pasta. Don't worry, I'm doing my part being a woman. Oh, that's nice. Do you watch the NFL? No, I do not. I do not give a shit about football. Why do people like watching football? That's another question I have. Or like any ball sport. E. Michelle Obama Jones. I have no idea what I walked into here, but I'm digging it so far. Welcome to the club. Nada. Just sit down and relax. We do this every Friday, and we just have fun. That's it. This is the fun time, fun day. I do absolutely zero preparation for these live streams. I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I just know it's going to be fun. And for the rest of the week, though, I do prepared videos on whatever subject I'm reading about in the news, geopolitics, mainly history, connecting history to the current world, things of that sort. This week, until today, I have been doing 1 to 2 videos every day since Monday. Okay, until Friday, because I do live streams on Friday. It's crazy. I did not expect. It's amazing that the days I say like I'm not going to do a video today, I'll do like 3 videos. Can Albanians and Bosniaks win a war against Israel and Japan? I don't think so. No. Maybe if like they were fighting in the mountains of that country. I don't know. It'd be very difficult. What is your favorite place to vacation? I don't really go on vacation. I love the World Cup soccer. That's the only bowl game I dig. What books are you writing? I'm not writing any books right now. I made a vow to myself that I would never write a book again. I wrote a book that got published in 2017. I spent like almost 6 years of my life writing that book. And I spent almost 6 years of my life writing that book, only to have almost no one pay any attention to it. So I told myself, you know what? I'm getting way more attention writing articles. I'm getting way more of an audience doing YouTube videos, writing things on the internet. So why am I wasting my time writing books? Let's see. Next terrorist attack will happen in an NFL game. I could totally see that. Mine is Bosnia and Herzegovina and Puerto Rico and New Mexico. Okay. That's nice. Which sect is worse, Sunniism or Shias? They're all the same shit, but I think Shiites are a little bit more emotional and mystical than Sunnis. Sunnis are more like Reformed Baptist. Shiites are more like mystical Catholics. Geopolitics and history are my forte. So right up. Well, you are Serbian, so Serbs love geopolitics. That's their thing. Talk to any Serb, they love geopolitics, which is one thing I've always enjoyed about talking to people from the Balkans is that they are all super fascinated with geopolitics because of their history and their situation. So yes, you have found the right place. Yeah, check out my videos on my channel. You will find tons of books, tons of videos on geopolitics, and I try to do at least one video every day. Thoughts on Rhodesia? I'm not that educated. Hawk your books here. Yeah, my most recent book. See, here's the thing about books is I spent a lot of years writing my third book, right? I spent about 6 years writing my third book. My first two books, each one took me about a year to write. About a year. A little bit over a year to write each one. After all the reading that I have done, and after all the years of writing that I have done, I will say that my best book is my first book. That's what I've concluded. My first two books are my best books. They were simple, right to the point, and they made very good observations. Third book is extremely philosophical. It's not philosophical. It's extremely like very mystical, very charismatic, very exuberant, very energetic. There's a lot of flowery language. I spent a lot of time writing flowery language. It's extremely poetic, the third book. And I spent hours and hours, I spent years writing entire chapters about Christian history in a poetic fashion. Um, but and it's very nice. It'll instill inspiration into you when you read my third book. I offer it for free. If you want to read it, let me know. But the first two books are the best ones because they will straight up educate you on bad philosophies, bad ideologies. What's the country most likely to subdivide? It's a good question. We could see Belgium split up between Flanders and Wallonia. We could see Spain split up with Catalonia leaving the country. So, but I think that there is a chance that Belgium could break in half. There was a book I read years ago. It was called World War IV. It was written by a guy named Douglas Cone, who was a U.S. Army captain. And in the beginning of the book, he talks about how there is actually a good chance that Belgium could split in half between Wallonia and Flanders. And if that were to happen, it would literally be a war right in the middle of Europe. Thoughts on Vlad the Impaler? A guy who went too far, impaling and yeah, sick things like that. He also killed a lot of people who were not even Muslim, people who were Christian. Your replies so much sound like Michael Savage. Well, we are both Semites, and I was a huge Michael Savage fan when I was in high school. I used to literally listen to him every single day when I was in high school because I was dealing with liberal teachers, liberal students, and Michael Savage was he was like listening to him was my consolation. It was a way that I could listen to someone, relate to that person, and hear someone who had the same views that I did. So I think that had definitely an influence on me. Wouldn't Quran only Muslims be more like yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're like that's what I'm saying. Like they're like Reformed Baptist. Although I just wrapped up work for the day, so I'm looking to avoid the both. Huh. What kind of work do you do, not averse? The presidents always F everything up and steal everything. Yeah, well, that's more a reflection of the society, if anything else, don't you think? Sell bottled Ganges doo-doo water for the glory of Trump. Well, the Indians are based, right? Because Hindus, they fight Muslim people and they're Aryan and their religion is Aryan. So based Hindus, guys. Your books are not short. They are amazing. Thank you very much. The first two books are relatively short. The second one is bigger than the first one, but they each took me a little bit over a year to finish. The third book, though, again, it took me almost 6 years to write because I had to look through the annals of Christian history and read through the books of Christian history, stuff that no one even reads. No one reads nowadays. I've read through medieval Christian poetry and philosophy, and I read through so much. I went through like this tremendous education. Um, and I finally got this book out and I tried to get it advertised. I tried to get it out there and like very few people even cared about. I don't know. It was kind of sucked, but it is what it is. Do you think is Greta the Antichrist? Good point. Greta Thunberg could be the precursor to the Antichrist, guys. Do you think she's the woman actually? She's the woman that rides the beast. Do you think the Young Turks are Turkish psyop? I've actually thought about that. It's possible. I don't know. I would have no evidence to prove it. George Friedman wrote new book on United States, America, and the future. Yes, he did. He wrote a number of them actually. Your geopolitical views are more correct than most analysts. I appreciate that. I think that the problem with most geopolitical analysts is that they focus on countries that are obviously not that big of a deal. Like everyone focuses on rising China when China has twice the population of the EU, and yet the EU still makes more money than China. China's military infrastructure is greatly lacking. China's military weaponry is outdated. China isn't as big of a deal as people make it out to, but everybody focuses on China, China, China. Ooh, South Africa. Ooh, India is rising up, and none of these observations make any sense when you look at the reality. Like India is a very divided country. Economically, it's garbage. Most people live in poverty. There's starvation. There's literal freaking slavery that happens in this country. It's the most racist country in the world. It's not a healthy society. It's not a healthy. I hate India. Sucks. Okay. And if Indian people want to get mad at me, why are all these Indians leaving India? Like you have Indians moving to Russia who are like, oh, these Russian people don't even understand India. They all think that all of us Indians eat mangoes and blah, blah, blah. They don't understand anything about India. Then what are you living in Russia for if India is so great? So yeah, these analysts aren't based on reality. They're living in some fantasy world where like, oh, the brown man's gonna rise up, everybody. Uh But then you look at a country like Germany, and it's like, oh, Germany's. No one talks about Germany. I'm one of the very few people on earth who are actually talking about Germany. And why do I talk about Germany? Because Germany actually has a history of being an empire and causing huge wars. That's the reason why. Turkey has a history of having an empire and causing huge wars. Same thing with Japan. Like that's why I just don't care about what modern analysts think. Like there's a book that I found in the bookstore years ago. It was called The End to Power. It was written by some Colombian or Venezuelan Jew. And he's like, there's going to be an end. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do the Latin American accent. There's going to be an end to power. It's going to end, guys. Okay, because right now we're seeing like Western infrastructures declining, and we're actually seeing the rise of rogue powers like pirates and terrorists. They're actually stealing the power from major powers in the world, guys. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Somali pirates aren't taking anything from anybody except for fishing boats. Oh, geopolitical work, awesome. Um, so Nada, you are into geopolitics. That is really cool to do. Are you a teacher? Are you a professor? Um, Is Greta the reincarnation of Odin? No, she's the reincarnation of Freya, the great Scandinavian goddess. Edgar Allan Poe was a failure in the beginning, but a bestseller after. That's true, but he wrote, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Greta needs an exorcism. Well, you can't exorcise people who are not willing to have exorcism. You think the UK will split up? I'm guessing you're saying North Africa. Oh, sorry, North Africa. Northern Ireland. My mistake. When do you think the caste system will end? When Hinduism dies. Savage gets loonier every year. I used to listen to him. Now he is not different than it. Yeah, I know. He kind of went down the road of race realism. It's disappointing. Why do I dream about being a medieval warlord? Could it be a genetic memory? It's like that video game. What's it called? Assassin's Creed. You know, you're going back to your genetics. You're finding out who you were, my friend. Medieval warlord. So what are you doing in your land? Are you like killing peasants or something? Best prophecy book was by Walid Shubha. Yeah, my father made the thing about my father that made him so different was that he focused on reality. It's like, well, no, Islam. Islam is a reality. The Catholic Church has no power. For all these years, these people were saying the Catholic Church is the harlot of Babylon, and the Pope is going to be the Antichrist. Pope has no power. Church has no power. But Islam is definitely rising. So it's based on reality. A lot of these analysts, they are not based on reality. China is going to rise again, guys. China. It makes no sense. None of this stuff makes any sense. You have to be the smartest person and have an excellent. I'm not the smartest person in the world. Definitely not. Far from it. I will say I do have a good taste in music, though. I agree with you there. But just like anybody else, I'm learning. Yeah, bro, me too. I used to listen to him on my drive home from work. His voice and style of talking geopolitics were very comforting. Yep. He was Michael Savage is a very talented person. Very talented in the art of rhetoric, very talented in the art of oratory and getting a point across very simply to where it conveys its message to the person very quickly. In a way, Michael Savage was like I don't know, he was like the patriarch of memes. Do you play an instrument? No. I used to play the Irish tin whistle, but I really can't play anymore. Yeah, I know. Tucker Carlson's a freak. I can't stand that dude. He's like, ooh, I remember there was some Jewish guy he brought over, and this guy was like, well, Tucker, the American border just went up to Oklahoma because Texas is now Mexico. It's like, dude, shut the frick up. They're agitators. That's what these people are. They're agitated. They are so many of these people. So many of these people, you know, especially after 9/11. All these people were flooding the internet. Pamela Geller, Robert Spencer. All these people are agitators and they're scum. Islam is coming, guys. That's why we got to support these crazy Nazis in Sweden. Robert Spencer is not a Nazi. Yeah, that's why he went to Sweden to go speak for a bunch of Nazis in Sweden. Has anyone else had dreams talking to their subconscious and dreaming in the form of talking to your? No, I've had dreams where I've talked to myself in the dream, but no spirit animals involved. Lots of Indians in Germany and UK. Yeah, I know they're all over the place. Germans, Alemans, Nemti, Deutsch. Yep. In Spanish, it's Alemania. India might have potential if they embrace Islam or Christianity. Well, Pakistan embraced Islam and they're not really doing anything. I've heard of your Jewish, black, and Indian impression, but never a Turkish. Come on, I did the Turkish impression not too long ago. I can do a little bit of that. Yıldırım yalam yosulum ya baladım. That's how Turkish sounds like to me. What do you think of the Didache Bible? Can you please? Yeah, the Didache is the oldest piece of Christian literature outside of the. It's the oldest piece of Christian literature outside of the New Testament. It's probably the best piece of literature to read to get a full understanding of the church after the apostles. Talks about, it emphasizes on baptism, communion. It's very Catholic in its nature. If anybody wants to learn church history, they most definitely need to read the Didache. It is essential reading. Yes, India has a multi-armed goddess with skulls on it. Kali, the goddess Kali, goddess of darkness. I am behind the scene. Oh, interesting. In my medieval dreams, I ride a horse into battle, chopping people's heads off with my. Dude, if you're trolling us right now, just say it. But if you're really having these dreams, that's a little bit strange. Where are you from? You're from what? Russia, Ukraine? Where are you from? Assassin's Creed sucks. It does, actually. I completely agree with you. It's a boring ass video game. So tedious. Like, gotta go up the tower, jump off the tower, go, land in a haystack. And it's just like, I can't play this game. It's crap. I can't do it. China fought a long civil war, a war against Japan, a war against the US. They know war. Yeah. Well, they have a proxy war against the US. It's not really a war against the US. Northern Irish and Northern Africans, Croats and Ethiopians. It's all coming together at last. We got to have the Northern Irish, Northern African, Croat, Ethiopian alliance. What would the acronym be? NINA. Hold on. NINACE. So it would be NIT. It would be NIT, not NINASE. Yeah, like NATO, it would be NINASE. NINASE or NINAKE. We got to work now. What does the Ninake Commission think about this? Because the president of NATO, the commander of NATO, just spoke with the lead commander, Mr. Ombagwe Kokonasha, from the Ethiopian armed branch of Ninake, and they're talking about instability erupting all over East Africa, all over Northern Ireland, and also in the Balkans. So Ninake is extremely concerned right now, guys. Beware of Ninake, man. Ninake. It sounds almost African. Ninake. Ninake. The Northern Irish, North African, Croat, Ethiopian alliance, everybody. Beware. Beware. Am I medieval? Okay. We was kangs, but we sure is not. Pope is not the Antichrist. Yep, I agree. Now, Rush Limbaugh was entertaining. No, he wasn't. Rush Limbaugh was not entertaining at all. Rush Limbaugh was obnoxious to listen to. He'd be like, oh, liberals, they're bad. The liberals, the Democrats just came in. They signed his bill. It's going to destroy the whole country, guys. Michael Savage would talk about history, art, music, politics. He harmonized the different aspects of art, the different aspects of the humanities together in a radio show. It was actually very impressive what he did. I loved it when Michael Savage just stopped talking about politics and said, let's talk about Plato, Aristotle. Let's talk about this, Mozart. And I remember when Michael Jackson died, Michael Savage was the only person in America talking about why Michael Jackson's music absolutely sucked. It was overrated. And he's like, all these stupid Americans putting flowers for a stupid singer, Michael Jackass. Play me some Mozart. And he would play Mozart and he'd be like, get it out of my soul. Get it out of my soul. This filth, Michael Jackass. The way he was funny. It was hilarious. The way he made fun of slick Willie Clinton. What's the obsession with these conservative news channels with people in British accents? What's the obsession? I don't know. I think you're right, though. I think Americans are upset. I think we still see Britain as like our overlords. So like, oh, he has an English accent. He must be more intelligent than all of us. And some British guy can come over and be like, let's say some American guy comes, right? And he's like, look at this can of beer. I'm going to say it with my accent, with my voice, right? I have an American voice, kind of, sort of. Look at this can of beer. It's beautiful, isn't it? Now, compare that to, look at this can of beer. It's beautiful, isn't it? Which one is more marketable, right? It's like Mexicans and Spanish accents. Like if you listen to a documentary played in Mexico, they always get a Spaniard to do the narration. Turkish is mosquito language. What happened to okay. I have to explain it again. I'm not going to explain it, guys. I'm not going to explain this. I had nightmares about a forest near my village. I later found out that Italian black shirts hanged a bunch of people there. Coincidence, or is that forest cursed? Now that is fascinating. I had a nightmare about a forest near my village. I later found out that Italian black shirts hanged a bunch of people. That is some fascinating stuff. And the people in your dream, did they dress up like Italian fascists? I had a weird dream last night. I was in elementary school classroom and 5 people at my table. 2 of the people pulled out scalpels and start to cut up and eat the person next to me. Yeah, that's weird. Didache is Protestant kryptonite. Yep. Kali is in the Indiana Jones movie. Absolutely. Temple of Doom, classic film. Best games are Dark Souls and Doom Eternal. I've never played Dark Souls. I'll have to look into that. Baltics in the house. I'm part Slavic and Nordic too, though. Interesting. So you're from either Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania. All of us are tired. All of us are tired of the Marxist crap on CNN. Okay. Thank you, Ted, for that bit of information about the Didache. It's on my Amazon basket as well as that Josephus book. Yeah, definitely read Josephus's history on the Jewish-Roman War and the Didache also. Very excellent reading. I had a dream where I was in a dark place and there was like some scary music, like the music you hear in horror movies. And then I saw a man with a dark robe saying he is the creator of the heaven. That's strange, man. What were you watching the night before the night that you had the dream? That also, because sometimes you watch a movie and then you have a dream that's like the movie. That happens. Aren't Croats building a bridge that cuts Bosnian access to sea? I have no idea. Hey, Ted, have you ever done a Jewish impression? Come on, dude. Come on. You know I've done these before. You know I've done these before. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Apparently you don't have enough. Do you have enough shekels with you? I'm here to collect. Don't waste my time. You have shekels. That's a very sincere question. I demand a sincere answer from you. I'm here to collect. Nothing more. I'm not here to talk to you. I'm not your friend. I'm here to collect. You would be really scary if somebody was like, if somebody who's never heard that type of voice before got possessed by demons. There was like poltergeist stuff happening, and then they bring a Catholic priest over to exorcise the possessed guy. And as soon as the priest walks into the room, all of a sudden the possessed child looks at the priest, like the head is turning this way. No, the head is looking toward this direction, and the priest walks into the room, and all of a sudden the guy's like, the possessed child or teenager is like, stop wasting my time, father. Are you here to collect? Are you here to collect? I mean, that, like, if I saw that, maybe in a movie, it would be like, okay. But if I saw that in real life, my heart would just stop. I'd be like, priest, you really hit the big time. You better exercise this thing or it's going to destroy the world. Rush Dwarfs against Savage. I hate listening to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson reminds me of the psychopath from that Christian Bale movie, American Psycho. Like, he just gives me that impression. Like, he's a like yuppie stockbroker wasp psycho. I never understood the whole Michael Jackson fandom thing. His songs were basic. His songs, I hate Michael Jackson's music. I hate his music. He's like, I'm bad. It's people went crazy over this all over the world. And you have people all over the world who are like, Michael Jackson, yes, I love him. Music is complete garbage. Once I had a dream of German soldiers parading the streets of Berlin carrying the greater German flag. No, that is, yeah. That's probably going to happen in the future. No, I was just being chased by Baba Roga. Maybe we're watching too much John Wick. I used to have constant dreams where I was chased when I was young. I have these dreams where somebody's shooting at me and I get the gun and for some reason I can't pull the trigger. It drives me insane. Or I'm in a fist fight with somebody and I throw my fist and when the fist touches him, like all of a sudden everything weakens and like time stops and everything is slow motion. Hate that crap. Sorry, I just came on only 15 minutes ago. What actually happened to Andrew Biazon? Okay, I'm going to say this again, just for your sake. Andrew got arrested and charged with child neglect, and we fired him. That is the story. Let's see. Sorry, I just came. Okay, I loved it. We did the Chinese to build us the whatever. However, Bosnia doesn't even use their sea access, and if they did, the bridge is tall enough. Annex Bosnia and made Croatian mega empire already. American Psycho was so I hated that movie. I don't like those types of movies. They're just in bad taste. I think a lot of the Nazi stuff is not organic, but pushed as a psyop to make any normal patriots associated with. I've heard that before. It could be true. I'm not entirely sure. They are definitely Nazis out there, though. Better than Kanye West. Actually, no. Kanye West is better than Michael Jackson. When really people are just concerned about the continuation of culture, language, and people. I understand that actually. It's just things like that can be escalated into something worse, you know? Just look at what happened in the Ukraine. You know, a Ukrainian nationalist murdered so many Polish people in the name of culture and language and all those things. Michael Jackson is still alive and he is the Antichrist. Do you reckon Michael Jackson was a kiddie filler? I have no evidence of that. I have no idea. I had a dream of being full blind in the dream. I had a dream one time that I actually died. Like I literally just die in the dream and I wake up. Crazy. Yep, you stop running and you can't run. That's another thing. You try running and everything is in slow motion. That's another dream. I had a dream where I saw Jesus and Mary, and Jesus told me I would be saved, but go through 300 years of purgatory. And my brother would go to hell. I don't know. I don't like getting into that. Get too sucked up into dreams. What is the worst religion in the world? I don't know. Islam, I think, sucks. Sucks really badly. But then you have Scientology, which is just horrifying. You experience an actual exorcism. A family member got possessed by a demonic crocodile. It was very disturbing. I noticed that Southeast Asians have these types of stories where they talk about actual possession and witnessing it. I think maybe it's because voodoo is or like a lot of magic stuff is still very common over there. Voodoo Ranger IPA. I actually saw the can for that at the store. I never got it because the can looked a little bit like I don't know, it looked a little too hipsterish for me. But I was told that Coors was a really good beer, and a friend of mine gave me a bottle a number of months ago, and I drank the bottle, and I said, "This is some of the best damn tasting beer I've ever had." So, been a fan ever since. Coors, man. I like Coors, and I really like. There's a German beer called. Um, it's called Vorsteiner, I think. Very tasty if you like a strong, thick, almost chocolatey beer. It's very tasty. Yeah. American Psycho is every Gen Z kid favorite. Yeah, I know it's disturbing, and they also like people also like Silence of the Lambs, which is also a very disturbing movie. Uh, with the biggest, deepest pools, and there's barely anyone there, and I am in the pool park with my mom and dad. Oh, that's nice. It's better than being killed. Michael Jackson could rightly claim the title of King of Pop. He was popular worldwide. I know. On the other hand, Germany just became Gaymany. My mom and my dad are still alive. That's good. Dmitry Cantemir was voivode of Moldavia and made amazing Oriental music. You should give it a listen. Okay, hold on. Let's get into music, guys. Somebody just recommended a singer. Hopefully, we'll get some scammers calling up. But I guess in India, they're probably going to bed right now. So, Dimitri Cantemir, Turkish classical music. Nice. I like it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Satanism is the worst. Satanism is the most obvious. He had a massive painting of himself as Pan in his studio surrounded by naked cherubim catering. The guy was a psychopath. I mean, Michael Jackson was definitely a demented person. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he was born black and he wanted to be white. If you want to change your race, if you want to change how you look, I mean, that's sick. That's like saying, "Oh, I'm Middle Eastern. Well, I want to be Nordic, I'm gonna like dye my hair blonde." And it's bizarre. Could you count the new atheist movement as religious in nature? Yes, absolutely. They worship they have their own prophets. Sam Harris, Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens is now a saint. If you don't agree with them, then you are like an idiot. You're despicable. You should like be. Atheists will say things like, "You should kill yourself." Kill yourself. The internet. If you dig too deep into it, the internet is a very toxic place. You start arguing with like atheists about anything, and it's like, kill yourself. You should be watched. You should be sterilized. It's like really, really sick things like that. I've seen so much of that sort of thing online. When I was really big into like trolling the libs on YouTube, there were so many people doing videos about me, and they would say things like "F you, Theodore. You should have like a bracelet around your ankle. You should be locked in a room forever. You should kill yourself." Like just crazy stuff like that. I remember there was this one gay guy. I think he was like French or something, but he was this guy wrote me. This was years ago, and he said, "If I had the power, I would put you in a cage, and I would force you to eat my own shit until you die." And I was like, damn. Some French Revolution level brutality, guys. It was horrific. Unholy beer are amazing. Hold on. I also had a dream in which hold on, somebody did a song. Try Hefeweizen from Portland. I will try that. I did Shiner did a like a peach beer. It tasted amazing, by the way. It tasted like cherries. Delicious. I also had a dream in which old lady Lujuba, the Bellinger's wife, asked me to help her paint her baby chickens green. I have nothing on that. That's like old babushka type dream. You hang out with babushka too long. Unholy beer are amazing. It's called unholy because Trappist monks are not making it, but they preserve the same style of brewing. Oh, okay, that's cool. If we're talking about music, check out Mongolian. Oh, I've already tried out Mongolian rock. I'm not too crazy about I like throat singing, but only within a folkish context. Not too crazy about like Mongolian throat singing with heavy metal. And I leave that to the heavy metal. Leave heavy metal to white people. White people are masters of heavy metal. Just leave it to them. I'm not joking. Korn, Lepis Trubetskoy, Bruta, Brown from Poland, the different Balkan rock groups, a lot of the German rock groups. Like white people are really good at rock and roll. I see like Indonesian bands and all the African. I'm like, I'm not interested. Middle Eastern people have even got. I mean, System of a Down is really good. Those guys pulled it off. But like, just leave it to, I don't know, I don't know, Asian people, Chinese people, like they need to stay away from rock and roll. It's like Middle Eastern people and movies. Like Middle Eastern people should not be making movies. You see like, oh, a Lebanese film director, and the movies always suck. They suck at making movies. Stay away from it. Leave filmmaking to Westerners and Jewish people, just Arabs, Palestinians, Iraqis, Persians don't know how to make movies. They just don't. It's like saying, Israel should start making uh, even Israeli movies suck. Like Israeli movies suck. They do. It's like Middle Eastern people should stay away from filmmaking. Um, Chinese people are really good, especially like Chinese people, Japanese people. They're really good at making modern piano music. That's one thing I've noticed about them. Like Japanese people, especially, they make some really good soap opera piano music. They're really good at that. Very calming. But it's like Mexicans are getting into metal music, rock and just stop. Just don't do it. You play on PC or console? Console. But I don't do online gaming, if that's what you're wondering. Have you heard the music from the group Janoon? It's a fusion of Sufi, Indian, and Western. I have not. I did hear a very good fusion of Persian music and Indian music a couple of years ago. I forget the names of the people who were involved, but they took Indian drums and mixed it with Iranian violin. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful and calming. Do you think Dmitry Duderman is a real prophet? I have no idea who this is. Dmitry Duderman. Who the hell is that? I have no idea who this is. Like a nobody on YouTube. I don't care about this. Visions and prophecies. How am I don't believe any of this stuff. I think it's all nonsense. Sounds like a wannabe cult leader. Sounds like a guy who would make a compound and like have sex with people's wives. I don't know. I don't like any of these people. JJ Burnell had an album about Europe. Try listening to a song Euroness or Euromon. JJ Burnell. Jean Jacques Burnell, Franco-English musician. Interesting. Let's try this out. Euromon. Euroman cometh. Oh, it's like a whole album. Sounds like post punk type stuff. So what's this guy saying? He's speaking French. So what are the lyrics? Hold on. Let's find the lyrics out. Google Translate. French. English. You will find the old continent who will be rejuvenated by blood. I am your Euroman. It sounds like the revival of the Third Reich. People online are toxic. Yes, they are. The internet is the worst place since people are anomalous. It's like, yeah, I know. They can say whatever they want and get away with it. I am ashamed I was impressed by Hitchens in my teens, the most overrated sophist on the. Christopher Hitchens was very good at making people think he was intelligent. I never saw the guy win a debate. He debated Dennis Prager. He debated Dinesh D'Souza. Lost on all of them. I listen to music from all over the world. One of the good things about global. Yep, absolutely. I love it. I love going on YouTube and listening to foreign music. I've been literally doing this ever since when YouTube came out when I was in high school. One of the first things I did with YouTube after watching like the Mexican prank videos was listening to music. That was what I did. The peach shiner was very good. It was delicious. I remember I would drink a cold one and it's like, this is better than any soda I've ever tried. The thing about my dreams is that nowadays I barely remember anything. I want peach beer. You should try it. But I think they only release it in the summertime. All your voices cracking us up. Never stop. No, part of my thing is I like doing impersonations of people. Even people that I've met, like not necessarily the accent of a group of people, but I remember years ago I debated a guy named Michael. His name was Michael Brown. I debated this dude. It was so funny. It was so funny debating this dude because so this is how it happened. He was so Michael Brown is a Jewish guy who's like a scholar, right? But he's a Jewish guy who converted to Christianity. Um, and he has a very Jewish voice when he talks. And he loved talk. He was a Christian guy, but he would love talking. He would love to talk about like how great certain gay people are, and he would say things like, "Well, they are many. They are many gay people who are passionate followers of Jesus." That's literally how this guy talks. They are many gay people who are passionate followers of Jesus. They're on fire for God, fire for Jesus, fire for Him. And I debated this guy, right? And the debate was about basically like what would Jesus do with homosexuals? Like what would Jesus do if they did a gay rally in the temple? And I said, well, Jesus would destroy them like he did Sodom and Gomorrah. And he didn't want to accept that, right? So we got into this whole debate about like the state and what the state should do with the LGBT agenda and yada yada yada. And I remember see in 2000, so this was in 2000, this was in early 2016 I did this debate. In 2015, that's when I really started listening to like Eastern European rock and roll. Hardcore. I started listening to Eastern European stuff. I was listening to Liepes Trubotskoy, Bruta. I started listening to some like Polish bands. That's when I really started getting into that style of music because it just sounded damn good. And there was this one song, I forgot the name of it, but it was this song from this band called Liepes Trubotskoy, which comes from Belarus. And it's something like "Brai, sobrai, dana," and in English, it's something like "fight, fight." And I just love the spirit of this music. I love that the emotion, the energy that it projected. And I remember before debating Michael Brown, like just an hour before debating Michael Brown, I remember playing this song and just blasting it as high as I possibly could, making it so freaking loud. And that music gave me energy. So the debate begins, and man, I'm just like, I'm quoting all these different church fathers. And then there was a Romanian guy. I started reading his work. His last name, I'm pretty sure his last name was Ionescu, but he started some paramilitary group in Eastern Europe. And like before you know it, I'm quoting this Romanian fascist. And Michael Brown didn't know what to do with it. It was hilarious, hilarious. I loved it. So much fun. I had so much fun. And then I remember after the debate, I go to Barnes and Noble and I'm talking to a friend of mine and I'm like, the gay people are invading the GOP, the Republican Party. And these two gay guys overhear me and I'm talking so loud. These two gay guys overhear me and one of them is dressed up in a dress and the other guy, there was a white guy and a black guy. And white guy is in the dress and the black guy is dressed up like a freak from New York City. And the white guy passes by me, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This guy had the most evilest pair of eyes I have ever seen in my life. His eye, it was a demon, straight up demon. This dude, and he looks at me right in the eye, and he's like, it was like serial killer. This dude would chop you up, put you on a meat hook type of eyes. I mean, it was Silence of the Lambs. It puts the lotion on the skin type of stuff. Like it was horrifying. But you know what I did? I talked loud. I made my presence known. I wanted these two guys to know that I didn't even really like them. So I overhear this black guy, and he's like, he shouldn't have the right to say these things. He should not have the right to be saying these things. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And this white guy in a dress is sitting there like, I know, right? And I'm talking loud. I'm like, they're taking over the GOP. Pretty soon they're gonna want to rape children. Like I was just going at it, just trolling these two guys in the middle of this bookstore. And all of a sudden, this employee walks up to me and she says, "Excuse me, sir, could you please lower your voice down?" And I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Could you please lower your voice down?" And I became as acrimonious and adamant as a New York Jewish lawyer. I said, "Excuse me, the last time I checked, we're living in the United States, ma'am. And in my country, in this country, we have something called the freedom of speech. So you have no right to tell me to lower my voice down. And she's like, just lower your voice down, sir. It's all I'm asking you. And I said, excuse me, I have been coming to this bookstore since 2006. I have spent thousands of dollars in this store. And you're going to come up and tell me to stop talking? That's ridiculous. We live in America, ma'am. I mean, I just went at it. I did not give a damn, and I didn't even have a drop of alcohol in me. It was just pure confidence. Like, it was insane. And and she's like, "You know what, sir? This conversation's over." I'm like, "Exactly. It's over." And she walks away. And I keep on going. I'm going on and on. And this black guy's like, "He shouldn't be having to say these things." And they walked out of the store. I loved it. It was so glorious. So glorious. But you know what? That Eastern European music, that stuff like a drug. It will do that to you if you listen to it enough. Yossi, whatever pyramid apricot ale is very delicious. Sounds good. Just to give you guys the mute, hold on. I'll read you guys' comments first. Chinese movies are good. I've only seen a couple of good Chinese films. One of them was a masterpiece called City of Life and Death, which I recommend everyone should watch. I recommend that everyone should watch that film. Bollywood are the best. Are you like trying to troll me here? Bollywood movies suck. Mexico has good directors like Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, I've never seen a single film of his. Balkan rock is beautiful. Yeah, there's some really good bands from the Balkans. How about Grai? I've never heard of that. Asian classical music is super. Yeah, there's some very good classical musicians from Asia that are very good. I like cheesy South American telenovas. Oh, I feel sorry for you. I mean, those shows are horribly boring. I recommend you listen to Yunun's song. I think I've heard of that before. Italians are masters of the art. I agree with you there. Baroque music, absolutely. Very good. Very good music. Je suis descend du Bonaparte. Am a descendant of Bonaparte. Oh, I see. Je suis Charlie. Remember that meme online? Je suis Charlie Hebdo. Je suis Charlie. Je suis Charlie. Are very much about Europeans going haywire yep. Well, okay, that makes the song make a lot of sense. Good observation. Good observation from the song. 100% best food. Seen Mel Gibson's video on the canceling of Good Priest and speaking in support of I have not heard that. Did that come out recently? We know who Michael Brown is. I saw that Michael Brown debate with you. Yeah. It was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. What do you do for self-care? What do you mean self-care? Like taking a shower? Hitchens versus Lennox. Yep, that's another example. And Lennox beat up Dawkins in a debate very well, actually. Nice chatting. Goodbye, Mr. Cath Crusader. Your life is interesting, Ted. It's interesting, but it's not exciting. I'll tell you that. Your troll level gold pill. Yeah, I loved every moment of it. Just being loud in a library or bookstore isn't really decent. Just saying it's just take it outside. Yeah, I know, but I love trolling those two psychopaths. It was so much fun. I saw that interview and have to say that I much appreciated the way you cut the stand. You cut the stand of pearls that he was so pathetically yeah, I know. It was a lot of fun. Michael Brown is I don't know. Do people even listen to that guy anymore? He was actually quite popular at one point, but not much anymore. Have you heard of Throne of Blood? It's an old Japanese movie that's Shakespeare. No, I have not. It sounds, I don't know. Is it good? Would you recommend it? Raise the Red Lantern. Raise the Red Lantern. Let me look that one up. Raise the Red Lantern. Raise the Red Lantern. 1991 Chinese movie. Directed by Zhang Yimou. and starring Gong Li. It is an adaptation of Nizhen of the 1990 novel Wives and Concubines. Is this a soap opera? I hope not. Set in the 1920s, the film tells the story of a young woman who becomes one of the concubines. It's a soap of a wealthy man during the warlord era. It is noted, basically, I'm gonna guess it's a movie where like a bunch of Chinese guys with robes are walking around and they're like, "Gongshu, and then the subtitles are like, "You idiot." That's what all these Chinese movies are. It's like they say this super long sentence that you can't understand, like and the subtitles like, "You idiot, f you." You asshole. One line. I love it. It's hilarious. Kurosawa and Ingmar Bergman, the best filmmakers. Which films would you recommend from them? Italian movies are really good. It's no wonder why the best cowboy movies are Italian. Oh yeah, the spaghetti westerners. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Never saw it. I heard it was good though. A lot of people flying around. I just never got too much into fantasy films, like people flying and stuff, or like like a movie about a concubine and an emperor. Like I never really got into that sort of thing. I'm more of a I like horror. I like war films. Great movie was a film called Come and See. Came out in 1984, 85, one of those years. Master Russian film. Absolutely loved it. Uh Word Bollywood should be declared as a giant fake up India. I hate Bollywood films. I think they suck. The recent one, I did not see that from Mel Gibson, but I will definitely see that. I admire Mel Gibson greatly. I think he's awesome. Strand of Pearls, I see. Throne of Blood is very good. Kagamusha is better. Seven Samurai is even better. Okay. I was forced to watch old Mexican soap operas as a kid when my aunt was watching me. It was terrible. Why are Croats freaking listening to this terrible, watching these terrible movies? But at least there was a sword fight every other episode. Yeah, those soap operas are terribly boring. What do you think of Dostoevsky? I literally talked about Dostoevsky earlier in the live stream. I don't know. I tried reading it. It's just I can't read fiction. I have difficulty. But now that you guys recommended enough, I mean, I guess I'll check it out. Vea Galizanska. Okay, let's look this up, guys. Oh, that sounds nice. I like that. I like the gajda, the bagpipe. I like it. That's good. People. I like it. It sounds savage. I like the savage sound to it. Oh, I'll have to listen to the rest of it. The one Eastern European song I was talking about. Let me try to find it. Hold on. Liepie Strelbitskoy. Liepie Strelbitskoy, in my opinion, best Eastern European rock band ever. Liepie Strelbitskoy and Bruta, basically the same band. They just changed their name. Let me see if I can find that one song though. That just like there's this one song that they made that was like more powerful than any drug. Um, it's a work of absolute work of masterful art. Let me try to find it. Hold on. Dang it, where is it? Is this it? No, hold on. I think it's on my iTunes. Hold on. Wait. No. 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 It's none of these songs. Uh no. 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 It's not on my iTunes. Oh man. It's such a I'll try to find it as I'm talking to you guys, but dang it, it's such a good song. Is it this? Yep, this is it. This song, oh my god, this song is like a drug. Total drug. The way it begins, it starts out with like this bagpipe music, this Eastern, like Slavic bagpipe music, and this guy starts singing straight up like a savage. Such a good song. And the way it begins, like it starts out flat, and then he starts to ascend, like da da na da na da na da na da da. Just the rhythm of it is so powerful. And then it goes up, and then this chorus starts playing. Right here, it goes up. It's just I wanted to play that, but it's a masterpiece. This song, it's such a masterpiece. You know what's interesting is when I first found out about this band in 2015, I'm like, who the hell are these guys? Their music is so good. So then I found out that they're super famous in Eastern Europe, but not really famous at all outside of Eastern Europe. And in America, the only people in America who know about this band are me and like Eastern European diaspora living in the US. Hold on, my cat wants to come out. Hold on. Asia. I never read Lord of the Rings. You know, I watched the films. I'm not too crazy about reading like fairy tale stuff. It's just why should I read it? Tell me. It just seems like it's not real. I mean, it's not real. It's just like, look at this book. This book is over 200 pages, and it's on something that actually happened. I would much rather read about something that happened than something that exists in somebody's brain, you know? Star Wars or Star Trek? None. Don't care about Star Trek or Star. I think it's all, I don't know. I never got into that stuff. To me, I don't know. It's a bunch of aliens walking around in a ship. They're like RTD2. I never got into it. It just, the Matrix was the only one that fascinated me because in the Matrix, you have a lot of, the Matrix was just very well directed. Like the music, the cinematography, the acting. Morpheus's character was very fascinating, and then also like a lot of the biblical influence that's very obvious throughout the film. I found to be very interesting. So I think I did a test as a child. Okay, Lord of the Rings is great. The Lord of the Rings films were very well done. It's just that I just don't want to read books about stuff that didn't happen. That's for movies. I save that for films. Um, let's see. Random, but I've got Bad Things by Jace Everett playing. Good song. Pitch Black. What's Pitch Black? Is that a song? What's my Discord? Um, what is my Discord? I think it's just like I think if you look up Theodore Schubot, you should get it. I think if you look up Theodore Schubot or Ted Schubot, you should get it. My Spirit by Lacuna Coil. Okay, I'm gonna look up Bad Things by Jace Everett. Oh no. No, I'm not too crazy. It sounds too like country. Oh, it's a movie? Pitch Black. Vin Diesel is in it. Oh, interesting. Is it a good film? David Twohy film. Is it good? Is it like good and suspenseful? My Spirit by Lacuna Coil. Nice. Nice. Good beginning. Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. That's good, man. I'm getting some like grunge vibes to it. Oh, it's an Italian band. Nice. Rome Flowers from Exile. Nice. I like it. Has a good depressing like post-punk vibe to it. It's nice. They take random online tests to boost their egos starved of actual accomplishments. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't normally like country, but the song is good. Okay. Depends on the mood. Yeah, I'm more of like right now I'm in like a doomer. I like the post-punk stuff. I like that a little bit of dark wave is good. Apocalypse by Lacuna Coil is wonderful. Are you familiar with Pixies? No, I'm not. Are they good? Pixies, Where is My Mind? Nice. I like it. Nice. 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 Sounds good. Got a 90s vibe to it. There's one song I started listening to recently. It's called it's by a group called Lebanon Hanover. It's a German like dark wave band. Most of their music really like I'm not crazy about it, but they have this one song called The Last Thing. And this song has a great rhythm to it. Like, it starts out like very dark wavy. So it goes with the drums. And it just escalates. And then it does this. I mean, it's good. It's good music. It's just good music. I like that song. Has like a depressing vibe to it, but at the same time, there's still some kind of hope. There's like a beam of light that hits the rye, sort of thing. It's very well done. Apocalypse by Lacuna Coil is wonderful. I'll have to look into that one. Need to go to work. Bye to okay, man. God bless you. Every time I hear that song, okay, I already read that. Yeah, I've been here for over 3 hours. Now I'm listening to Breathless by Nick Cave and Bad Seeds. Nick Cave and Bad Seeds. Breathless. I think I've heard this before. Yeah. Sounds very American. There's some good Serbian music out there. Medieval Steel. Hold on. Someone recommended something Spanish. Rodrigo y Gabriela. Tamacun. 3.2 million views. Nice. Nice. Sounds very good. Nice. Very Spanish. Boboaris Bornado. What is that? I just looked it up. I don't see anything. Is that a song or are you writing in Serbian, Croat? Medieval Steel. Is that a song? Let's look that one up. Oh, I see. You were just talking in your language. I see. What's this one? Medieval Steel. Nice. I don't know. It sounds a little too power rockish for me. Oh no. Bereshit Olam by Shlomi Shabbat. Oh. Something from Israel, I assume. Let me look this up. I hope this is not some messianic stuff. This sounds like some piano Jewish music. Hold on. I'm gonna make a prediction. If I'm wrong, I will admit that I am wrong. But this sounds like the type of song that when you play it, it's like some piano music starts going, and then some guy's like Shalom, Bereshit Yisrael. Okay, let's see if I'm wrong or not. Yep, piano. Okay, we're getting into the piano. Hold on, scam call. Oh, scam call, guys. Hold on. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Tim Daniels with Pro American Solar. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Yourself?
I believe you're a homeowner of a single-family house, right?
Yes, I am.
That's great. Okay, let me be very clear. This is not a sales call. We're just educating homeowners about the benefits and tax rebates and grants from the government. That typically means that going solar is absolutely free for most people. Is your electric bill more than $100 on average a month?
Unfortunately, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Hey, let me transfer this call to my supervisor.
Okay.
We'll guide you further. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, call has been transferred to me. It shows that I'm talking to the homeowner, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we are just providing information about our latest solar energy program to reduce electric bill. So your electric bill is about $100, right?
Unfortunately, yes, it is because it's very hot outside.
Oh, okay. No problem. We will give you the best option to cut it down. And what's the name of electric company? CXU?
Right now, I am using.
Power or any other
Right now, I am using General Electric.
General Electric.
Yes.
And what's your zip code over there?
Before I give you any more information, one quick question. Will the solar panels be powerful enough to filter all of the shit out of the Ganges River? That is the question that I have for you.
Which river?
The Ganges River in India. Will it be able to filter all the shit out of the river?
Ganges? What kind of river is it?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You are an Indian just like me, or you are from Pakistan or Bangladesh. Which one is it, please? Stop lying to me. Will it have the power to filter the Ganges River?
Okay, listen. It have enough power to fuck your mother.
What the hell are you talking? Are you a salesperson? Are you a salesperson? You are obviously a lying scammer if you are immediately going to respond to me with vulgarities. Hello? He hung up to me. Hello? He couldn't answer he couldn't handle the truth. He couldn't handle the truth. The Ganges River Cleanup Fund. They're all scammers. Is this person supposed to be a manager of a legitimate company responding to a legitimate question with such vulgarity? I don't understand what the hell is wrong with these people. They are mentally ill. They are sick. Anyway, I've been here for like 3 hours and 20 minutes, so if you guys have any more questions, just shoot them out to me. Next time to ask them to transfer you to customer service to make a formal complaint. There is no customer service because they're all scammers. Literally, all of them are scammers. A great song, particularly the vocals and lyrics, the chorus. Okay, let's check this out. Nedelia. Is that how you say that? Nedelia. Hold on, let's listen to the Jewish song real quick. Yep, I was right. I was absolutely okay. Here's the thing: I could never listen to this type of music. It's like weird piano stuff that comes up in the beginning. There's no rhythm, there's no beat, and it's some Jewish guy who's like, Israel, Shalom. I can't do it. There's no life. There's no life in it. I gotta listen to something that's heavy. It's gotta have power in it. Bagpipes, drums, a strong voice, a cause to fight for. I can't listen to this Tel Avivian music. Sounds almost Italian. Like mafia. It's like mafia, Serbian mafia music. Oh, Sunday, I see. Laredo. Nice. Kind of reminds me of George Delaris. Like George Delaris music. Nice. A lot of passion in it. Folkish. Not bad. Sounds like some mafia type music. It kind of reminds me of Greek music, like George Delaris. Tomahawk, Laredo. Let's listen to this one, guys. Okay. Okay. Not bad. I like the bass in the back. Not bad. Dynamic. Not bad. It's heavy. It's good. It's okay. Yeah. That's Mike Patton singing. Oh, nice. That's good. Too funny. The scam caller totally broke character when you punk. Yeah, I know. He tried to act stupid. Which river are you talking about? Only one of the biggest rivers in the world. And you with that accent, I can't expect you to know what that river is. Movie Priest was fun to watch. A good priest hunting vampires, only to discover his trusted church hierarchy was actually a part of the Vampire Alliance. Oh my god. Yeah, in reality, they'd all be pedophiles. What else is there? Anyway, I've been here for 3 hours and 27 minutes. How's everybody enjoying your evenings? Enjoying yourselves? You guys cooking anything? Anybody cooking anything? Ghost Riders by Christopher Lee. All right, Nowtaverse. Good night. Ghost Riders by Christopher Lee. Say good. Have I heard this? Oh, it sounds like the Blues Brothers type music. Take care. You made green Thai curry. Awesome. Self-care evening. Yeah. I think I'm done, actually. I've been here for about 3 hours and a half, so I think I'm good. But we will do this next week. I will probably see you guys tomorrow. I try to do a video each day. If I think of anything to talk about tomorrow, I will talk about it. But yeah. All right. I'll see you guys later. Good night. Have a good evening. And God bless. You guys just heard some theology.